Welcome to the night zone, hear the warriors speak. Life's the battlefield and we ain't feeling weak. From love to the game and the power we seek. Our voice is strong, breaking every peak. Talk of love and battle scars, everything that's real. From touchdown to sermon, you know the deal. Strength in every word we begin to reveal. Truth in every tale as our lives we unveil. Talk of love and battle scars, everything that's real. From touchdown to sermon, you know the deal. Strength in every word we begin to reveal. Truth in every tale as our lives we unveil. Protect and provide, we're knights in the fray. Nothing off limits, we got something to say. Life and love, fitness and fight all day. Guys Night Podcast, let's ride the wave. Politics and prayers, ain't no subject we shun. Keep your
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Guys Night Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Will McEwen. It is a great day to be alive. As always, to my right is Evan.
What's going on, guys?
But guys.
But guys.
I
I got to throw in a little tweaker once in a while.
Tweakers.
Tweakers.
and butt guys.
Plus, it's a little bit of my dyslexia that's going on and off.
All right.
Or is it going off?
Man,
and
you
on?
are wired right now.
I am
Evan just did a
wired.
line of cocaine in the bathroom,
Yeah, I
apparently.
think
And then always to my left is David. What's up, brother?
I am good. I'm not but good. I'm just good.
All right, fantastic. And tonight we've got a guest. He's actually spoken with me once before when we were at Old School Iron in Cleveland during one of Center Stage Aesthetics posing clinics. Welcome, Joe Pavlik from Pavlik Performance.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, and just keep an idea too on the wide angle, Joe, just to make sure you're scooted in and closer to that so it picks up all the
Yeah, let me move around at least so you can get scooting more in. There you go.
Wait,
All right, we good here?
Yeah, we're good.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Perfect.
All right. So anyhow, Joe, you and I sat down for probably about 30, 40 minutes, had a great conversation. You're obviously into a lot of different things. Some of those you're going to share with us tonight. I know you've got the forearm flex trainer with you this afternoon, and I've actually been using that for the last couple of weeks. I like it. It's great for when I'm sitting at the desk and just need to have something to do while I'm working. It's
Right.
funny because some of the people that I'm on work meetings with and stuff virtually are like, "Can you please put that down? You're distracting me." I'm like, I'm getting my pre-gym pump going on right now.
Usually that's me, but I'm like jerking off though.
Yeah, we do not do that on the company camera. My wife's always like, "Does anybody ever do anything?" Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to find out. Like, I think that was made a big deal during COVID. There's quite a few people that are caught jerking off through corporate meetings. I am not that guy.
Hashtag self-employed now.
Yes. But Joe, you've got a lot of stuff going on. I wanted to get a better understanding of what you are, because I know you run joepavlik.com and you have Pavlik Performance, which is where some of your items fall under. But you also do a lot of marketing or discussion on products that are from all over the field. You and I talked about the lotion to help cut excess water weight for competitors that are about to compete in a bodybuilding competition, or even regular day people that are trying to do some stuff. Tonight you've got some other stuff with us. So explain to us a little bit of, one, how you got into what you're doing now, and then two, what it is that you are doing now. Are you a marketer? Are you a business owner? Are you a partner in some of these companies? And let's just hear kind of your story and where it started.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. And interestingly enough, it was in 2005 that I formed my consulting company, Flexus, which originally I was sort of just a one-man band doing a number of different things in the world of health, wellness, and performance. And so I never really had a clear roadmap exactly where I was going with it. I just knew that I had very uncanny instincts and intuition as it relates to the human body and performance. And then with an understanding of science and application, it kind of led to where we are today, 20 years later. And so basically, I'm essentially a biochemist by trade, but have been heavily and personally and professionally involved in the world of health, wellness, and human performance my entire career. So kind of where I'm at now, this started with just originally just helping people back in college, just, lose weight, build muscle, improve performance with just dietary supplements. And then that's when, during my undergraduate years, it kind of gravitated towards dietetic technology, nutrition science, anatomy, kinesiology, to where now I have essentially cornered the market with the company that has now evolved from Flexus to the Flexus Group, which is what we do is everything that you had mentioned before, from capital raising, raw material sourcing, manufacturing, capsules, powders, tablets, liquids, lotions, cosmetics. I say anything that goes in your body or on your body that could help to improve your performance, help to defy the aging process. And then, of course, the branding of these products, which now involves, web development, graphic design, and then the sales, marketing, and distribution, whether that be brick and mortar retail, international, or as my focus is now, really trying to corner this online market with, TikTok Shop and all these things. So I'm kind of taking a different angle now in 2025 to kind of take a step back from the core of the business, which in the past has been creating strategic partnerships with brands that may need a product, may need a formula, may need manufacturing. And then if the deal's right, we would take an equity piece and then say, hey, we'll assist you. And, let's say you want to do the guys' nights, cold brew,
Right.
we would then take that to market and then, work the money mechanics. So if you're funded, we can do that. If you're not funded, then we would essentially take, a bigger piece of the pie and bringing, any new brand to market.
So are you doing this all by yourself, or do you have partners in this organization? Or
No, I actually, what I've done is I've created, because one thing you learn in the early going is like, no man is an island. And what I've done and what I've been doing the last 10 years, I could never have done it on my own. I mean, when I started out, it was just kind of one-off things I was doing. And then I realized to really grow the enterprise, I had to create partnerships, and I didn't have the time or the bandwidth to endure the learning curve to like learn graphic design, do the stuff you're doing here, setting up podcasts and, learning manufacturing, to the point where I would be like literally building out a facility. So what I did is I created strategic partnerships with organizations, guys that I've met that have, like-minded business philosophies with, ethics and integrity, and basically said, look, here's what I do. I bring new business to the table, new product innovation ideas and concepts. And then, through that, how do we bring a product to market? And so there's all those components that fall in between.
okay, so and some of these products are stuff that you had a part in designing, like the Forearm Flex Trainer, correct?
Yeah, the Forearm Flex Trainer, honestly, that's like that. I'd never really done a device like that. That was something that was just kind of a fun project, because I think we spoke about at Old School Iron, I had a neck injury, and that kind of left me, not able to use the left side of my body for several months. And so in the effort to try to gain control of my arms again, particularly my left arm, I was doing all sorts of forearm exercises. And then I bought a device like this off Amazon. It was a little cheap, kind of flimsy. And I said, man, if I could re-engineer this and make it with the higher quality coil, higher density foam, so it actually feels good,
Sure.
This is something that a lot of people would like. And so, guys like us that are just, maybe ADD, have nervous energy, you just need to be doing something, whether you're smoking a cigarette or, doing a nicotine dip. We all need stimulation. So that consumer is there. But then as I've had this thing out in the market now for just over a couple months, I'm just seeing all these new applications, like even at these bodybuilding shows. What is everybody doing with their bodybuilding? They're going out, they're hitting a bicep pose, right? Everything starts in the forearm. And when you're trying to maintain that pump, you have to have that wrist articulating very intensely to be able to keep the blood in the muscles so that you can maintain, good, posing when you're going out there to step on stage and do a show. So every time I'm talking to somebody, whether a golfer or a bodybuilder, I'm always trying to like tweak the pitch of that to just see how they can use it best. But it's really more so just like a fun conversation starter project. Most of the stuff I've always done has been, functional beverages, dietary supplements, things along those lines. So this is something that's just kind of a new thing, more of a conversation starter.
Yeah, and I'm looking at a website now. It's $35, so it's not expensive. I talked about it. My mom works from home. You mind if I see that real quick?
Sure.
Slide it over here. So my mom works from home. She's behind a desk all day, and she's also going to be 70 years old. So, right, the idea of her being able to do a whole lot, one, during the day, and two, just in general, isn't there. But this could be used by the weakest individual or the strongest individual. Pretty
Absolutely.
simple to kind of just wedge your forearm in there in such way, and just give you a way to flex, really exercise those wrists too. And it's great for stretching out that tendon, because you can let it go and really pull back. I mean, that's just great range of motion on those tendons in your wrist. Want to give it a shot, David? Yeah. Strengthen your wrist for some other things as well, David.
Hey, should I work on the left or the right today?
Yeah, well, it's stranger danger. Yeah. So other way.
that backwards.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, once you get it figured out.
There we go. Okay.
You know, and sometimes they say like the first step is the hardest part, right? Like, you know, you're sitting at the desk, you know, you got to get up and walk. And like, there's even days like, I mean, and I've been training hard since, you know, probably 10 years old. I mean, after watching Rocky, I think Rocky 4, it was like 1984, I think, Christmas time. And I was always fascinated by like, you know, muscle men on the big screen and that. And so I remember watching, I was a big Rocky fan. And so after watching Rocky 4, I remember I went out in the garage, I lit a fire in the garbage can, I'm jumping rope. You know, 10 years old, I was fucked up.
Oh, yeah, ready to go.
Something wrong with me.
You keep talking. I'm going to adjust the camera angle because it's bothering me real quick while you're talking.
Something wrong with at that time. But then, you know, taking the first step sometimes is difficult. But like even I have days now where like I might not be in the mood to train. Yeah. And I'll just start. I'm like, you know what? Let me just jam on this thing for 5 minutes. And then if I feel like, you know what? Kind of activates the nervous system, gets some blood flow going, and all of a sudden I'm like, you know what, now I feel like going to work out. And so it's just sometimes that little bit to just, you know, get you motivated to do it. But then more so, you know, the forearms are essentially the calves of the upper body. So, you know, it's something like, I don't care what you're training for. You could be an MMA fighter, or you could even just be somebody that's just like trying to maintain health, wellness, and longevity. Everybody's dealing with some type of a corporate injury, as I say, whether it's neck pain, elbow pain. We're holding cell phones all day. We're having to sit at desks. And so it's just something,
repetitive motion.
Kind of a fun thing. Yeah.
It, I mean, aside from using it for any sort of strength training, it stretching, I'm kind of neurotic like that. I like the way it feels to stretch, but yeah, just having it just to stretch, you know, because that's the natural position when it's like wide open. That just feels amazing. Just sitting here.
Yeah. And I mean, I was just looking it up. So 36 million people are working from home right now in the United States.
Wow.
So, I mean, just having something that you can do from home that doesn't, cost a lot of money, but you can do from your desk. And it's just a cool little contraption. And like I said, once you have it and you realize you're just sitting there and it's like very addicting to just kind of do, and you can do some different angles with it, stuff like that too, to really put some torque on it. So you mentioned this was a way for you to come back from that neck injury when you weren't really able to function at all.
Right.
But you're finding it's got a ton of different uses for it.
Oh yeah. Now, I mean, I'm teaching people how to like warm up with it, stretch with it, just, you know, even articulating the wrists. So you're in a fully locked position doing, you know, internal, external rotation, circular planes of motion, just to kind of loosen up the shoulder. So it's just a very unique way that you can actually stretch the forearm, which then kind of helps to loosen up the entire upper body. And that's where most people, I mean, guys that have, you know, done benching for years, like, you know, once you get to a certain point, it's like, man, it's like everything hurts, you know? So when you're able to do low grade, high tension work, activating the ligaments and tendons, that's what then takes away that pain. So it's kind of I really don't know where this thing's going to go, but I could just tell you off the rip, it's, I'm pleasantly surprised by people like actually digging it and liking it. And then learning, even I've got like a guy's, you know, wife's a hairdresser. She's using it. I think you were even mentioning, you know.
Yeah, my wife's had wrist problems for quite some time. Just having something where she can kind of exercise those forearms and stuff and build some strength, you know, and hopefully help her in the long run.
Yeah.
So, I don't think, but like I said, it's adjustable too. You can slide that thing up and down and change the power on it and the difficulty of it. So cool thing. And that was something that you create on your own. So this is one of your own very own products. And I can see it right now on the joepavlik.com website. You've got some other products there that I'm interested. These aren't your specific problems, right? Or products. They're under Metaboderm, has a couple of different ones on there and amino codes. So are these products that you took a part in developing, or did these products come to you and ask you to help and you're starting to try and put those out there on your market? How is that involved? Great
question. Well, the Metaboderm product is that's actually one of my own formulas. There was a company that I was consulting with, you know, maybe 10 years ago, and I did the product for them as a consultant. And then, you know, like what happens with a lot of organizations, you know, internal chaos, company got mismanaged, company fell apart. And so then I came back in, bought the trademark, had the formula, and so then I relaunched it under my own brand.
Okay.
So it's kind of one of those, like, you know, you could build something for somebody, then it's up to them to drive the car, whether they crash it and burn it. So I kind of resurrected the car, took it back, fixed it, and so that's the new and improved Metaboderm formula. So that's actually a Pavlik Performance product. So
I was going to say, it doesn't say Pavlik Performance on it, so I wasn't sure if it was an actual product of you guys or not. So same with the amino codes?
No, the amino code's another interesting product. I actually did that with a friend of mine, Jason Deere, who's out of Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
He was like the former after party king for like all the bodybuilding and fitness events back in the day. And so, you know, he had this vision to
We gotta
create.
get him on the podcast. I bet you he's got some stories.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Bunch
No,
of people hyped up on testosterone and freaking just at their peak performance. Just after parties.
You had me at after party.
testosterone, anabolics, recreational drugs. Like, I mean, just insanity.
Man.
This
It's
is
like Olympic Village times 10 because all the drugs are illegal but legal.
Yeah.
I was getting tested after that one.
so, and it's funny because that particular brand, you know, the Ultra Human was his vision, right? And so my job with him was to kind of help bring some of these really unique and innovative products to market that had a very unique place in the market because about 7-8 years ago, intermittent fasting became very popular. And so the amino code is actually a blend of essential amino acids and branch chain amino acids in the same ratio as human muscle tissue. So the benefit of this is when you are in a fasted state, it helps to prevent the loss of lean tissue. So it helps to protect muscle tissue. It's anti-catabolic, anti-proteolytic. So when you're fasting, you're not going to lose muscle mass. And so that was the original intention of that product. And then now, there's another couple guys that are out there that are promoting, Gary Brecka promotes this perfect amino product that's out there. And this was like 7 years ahead of that. And in my opinion, is a superior formula.
Now, when you say, so where is this created at? Because obviously I'm assuming you're using a private pharmacy or a...
No, this is actually made in Florida in a GMP, FDA inspected, certified facility. So all the products that we make are made to like the highest standard. You got pharma, and then you've got like GMP, and GMP means good manufacturing practices. All the labs are, audited by the FDA, not approved by the FDA, but, inspected to make sure everything's clean and things are being made to pharmaceutical standards. And that's like where a few years back, some of these labs, everybody was testing positive for like a prohormone. There was a lot of MMA fighters that were like, oh, I never took this product because when you're making different blends, if you're not properly cleaning if you're not cleaning the bins, if you're not cleaning the mixers properly, you could have micro residue of, let's say, an andro or a prohormone or some illegal substance that would potentially cross-contaminate a new batch.
Product,
yeah.
Sure. So for someone like myself who doesn't necessarily understand the process, let's say that, and are you coming up with the chemistry to create these drugs, or is somebody else coming up with it for this product?
Typically what I'll do is I'll take something from concept to about 90% of the way there, if not 100. But let's say I'll have the general idea of what I want to create, and then I'll go to someone who's like in the lab as a chemist and saying, okay, you know what do we need to modify here? Because sometimes there might be a few cofactors that need to be included to enhance the effectiveness. But for the most part, I pretty much do all the heavy lifting and then let the technical experts kind of refine it to, get cost where they need to be. Sometimes there's certain things that could be eliminated that may not be required, for the formula to be ultimately effective.
So for you to come up with these things, what's your background in chemistry or in the human body in general that kind of allows somebody to say, oh, this guy's not just shooting off the hip. He actually knows what he's talking about. Like, what are some of your credentials in that aspect?
Sure. Well, a lot of it, in school it was, anatomy, kinesiology, biochemistry, dietetic technology. But then that was in my undergrad. And then, of course, where I really gained the most knowledge was just, hands-on. I mean, I've always had a passion for this. And so, just a lot of, reading, research. I've worked with a number of the top chemists in the world. I first met Patrick Arnold, who was like the godfather of prohormones, who created andro back in the day.
Oh, wow.
And so he had a company called Ergofarm. And so I first got...
Ergofarm, is that who created Superdrol?
They had some products like that. He had like 1AD. He was like literally the guy that had all the stuff that was going into Balco and going into the whole andro world, like when McGuire and Jose Canseco were taking all those products, But so he was really, really knowledgeable chemist. And so I kind of learned a lot from him. And then from there, just kind of stepped away from not the hardcore anabolic route, because that was, it was getting a lot of scrutiny at the time. And then I kind of went more towards, brain performance, nootropics, things more for, recovery and sleep support, just try to target different categories where people were looking for non-drug alternatives to help them with any particular condition or disorder.
Gotcha. So these are the few products that you have on your site now. Is there anything else that you're currently working on now, or something that's set to come out and do some of those things that you just talked about?
Yeah, there's actually a few things that I'm working on right now that are going to go into a couple different brands. So right now I have a cold brew. It's called Neuro Joe. It's a cold brew coffee that I'm working on, which is essentially an organic coffee infused with nootropics, which are things to help to improve brain performance, memory, learning, recall, reaction time. Kind of like a high octane fuel for the brain. So everybody drinks coffee. So nootropics in coffee gives you a little bit of a better punch.
All right. And I want to get into that before I forget, because we were on the topic of, talking about best practices when creating a supplement and things like that. You mentioned that yours are getting done at a lab in Florida that it was GMP certified.
Correct.
What's the process of you saying, all right, here's this formula that I've created. How does one then what is the next step at that? Like if I just say, hey, this is the ingredients that I need in here, how do I go about the process of getting that produced at mass? And what does that step-by-step look like for someone?
Sure. So let's say you lay out a formula. Let's say it's a 15 ingredient formula and you have all the different dosages of different, compounds that you want in that formula, whether it's, let's say it's a capsule or a powder. Then what you would do is the lab would go and they have a vast array of ingredients that have all been ordered, quarantined, tested for heavy metals and impurities so that you're dealing with clean, pristine ingredients.
So before you even go to that lab, you have to cite the source of all these different ingredients that you have, or you?
No, they
do that.
The lab is essentially like the warehouse, right? So they've got all these different.
So they're already sourcing all these different products. You're just telling them like, hey, I need a scoop full of sugar,
right,
to help the medicine go down.
All the ingredients are there. Yeah,
okay,
if
I got
like
you.
To go and do that on your own, it would be like a 2 to 3 year process.
I would imagine.
Yeah,
sure.
So just imagine 1,000 different, 1,000 to 1,500 different ingredients, and then you put the formula together. And obviously, I'd always try to do something that's different and unique, or maybe bringing in a new ingredient or a new compound to give the product a different effect. Once that's done, then you will basically you'll run like a test batch. Okay, maybe like let's say 500 bottles, where all the raw materials would be pulled. They would then be put into a mixer. Okay, so the mixer is essentially you'd have all the different ratios. If you got 1,000 milligrams of beta alanine, 500 milligrams of alpha GPC, 250 milligrams of N-acetyltyrosine, whatever the compounds would be, and then it goes into a mixer and you'd run a smaller pilot batch. And then from there, that was where it'd be what you would give to, people to try it, sample it, test it. A lot of my athletes would use it. I test everything that we do. And then from there, it would lead to, okay, if the formula is approved, if we need to do something different, we maybe need to increase the potency. Sometimes there could be things that, depending if it's a stimulant-based product or more of an endurance product, we usually go through maybe 1 or 2, sometimes 3 renditions. And then once we feel that we've got it nailed and people are trying the product, taste is good, performance is there, then you would move to final production. And then you do it on a larger scale of, say, 5,000 or 10,000 bottles, same mixing, but in a larger blender. And then, and that would be the process. Identify the container, label, packaging, kind of like an assembly line structure.
So when they're mixing that, though, it's not like they're like pulling the specific per bottle or per serving amount in. Like it's you're mixing a pot that's huge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fair to say, and that's where, a lot of these different things that have these breakdowns of they could be they're not accurate to a T, right? Because no matter how well you mix something, I could get the area that's got 5 milligrams more of something in it than the other. Or is that not the case when you're doing it at that level?
No, typically in the manufacturing world, they allow what's called like a 5 to 10% plus or minus. So you can be 5 or 10% over or under of label claim. Anything more than that, you would be off label.
Gotcha.
But there are leeways just because that level of precision. Now with pharma and in pharmaceuticals,
right,
you got to be right on. But with dietary supplements, you got a 5 to 10% leeway.
And with dietary supplements too, like you talked about testing the product as far as if it optimized the way that you expect it to make you feel, or right. And some things it's like, placebo effect. You could think that it's working, it could be doing nothing, et cetera. But there's nothing limiting. Like there's nobody testing that product like the FDA. Right, the FDA is not overseeing any of those products. Supplements are kind of an off-market, like untouched element, unless they start to use ingredients that are controlled substances, essentially.
Yeah.
So like if I'm putting caffeine along with protein and a beta alkaline in the same, there's nobody there to make sure like that I'm doing it. Like that's safe or anything to that nature, right?
Right. No, as long as all of the ingredients would have to be on a list called GRAS, the generally recognized as safe list. And then essentially for whoever is formulating, it's up to you to put, your product together. And that's where I notice when I take a look at a supplement label, I can tell if it's like a sophisticated formula or if it's somebody that's taken the mindset of like, let's just do everything in the kitchen sink and throw it in there. Because sometimes it's counterintuitive with what you would have in a product. It's like more is not always better. And there's a strategic way to do this so that, you have a synergistic effect where, less is more. So sometimes you don't need, full blown dosages of everything. You can get away with, maybe a full clinical dose of 2 to 3 of the ingredients and then use lower dosages of the other ingredients. But the FDA has no involvement in that. As long as the ingredients are, generally recognized as safe and produced in a GMP FDA inspected facility, then it's, pretty much whatever you need to do.
So here's the reason I bring that up, because I remember seeing a documentary years back where they talked about the fact that nobody oversees this department. Like you can say that you're, and why I see that more important, and you and I talked about that, is we live in a day where fitness influencers and just social media influencers in general can really push any product they want. I think the Trend Twins just came out recently with their own protein. I know Jocko's got a protein. That's the protein that I use. But I mean, there's hundreds of protein powders that are out there, and I'm just bringing protein powders up because it's a simple one. If you do a quick search, I mean, there's tons of them that populate. So ultimately, what happened to where we started overthinking protein powders to where we need all these different multi-brands? Is it just about selling the name that's on the bottle, or are these different types of protein actually doing different things?
That's a great question. And typically it's, when it comes to dairy, you got whey protein isolate, whey protein concentrate. So those are kind of the two. And you get casein, which is like a longer acting protein.
Okay.
So you got fast acting isolate, middle acting concentrate, slow acting casein. Anything that's a milk-based protein is going to have usually one of those 3 in there. And so there's really nothing unique or innovative with those products, unless of course it's like they're adding a digestive enzyme or they're doing something that might be like a full spectrum multivitamin, multi-mineral blend, or now people are adding greens to the products, greens in your protein, but there really is so much innovation you can do on protein.
So when you talked about those 3 different types of protein, fast acting, is there a difference in how my body's going to perform depending on how I'm taking those 3 separate types? And I'm asking this as an everyday guy. I mean, yeah, I take protein, but I've never done the research on the actual difference on the types that I'm ingesting on a daily basis.
Well, typically your fast acting protein, like an isolate, would be best used like after a workout, because that's when you need that immediate influx of amino acids into the muscle to help with recovery.
Okay.
And then like a concentrate or a casein protein is a little bit more slower acting. So that's like where you would have that more as like a meal replacement, or something before bed to, allow amino acids to be released throughout the sleep cycle to help with the growth and recovery process. So.
And then you mentioned people are starting to add different stuff into protein. I see that on a day-to-day basis. You mentioned adding greens. Is there a point to where we start over supplementing ourselves, meaning like we're taking 25 pounds of powder versus just eating a natural good diet?
Yeah. I mean, I think protein is probably way overused, way overconsumed. I mean, our bodies really only have the ability to absorb like 16 grams of protein per serving.
That's what I've heard. That the body can only absorb so much at so was it 16 grams of protein per hour or something?
Per hour.
Yeah.
And unless, of
regardless of what you're doing to your body, because I mean, there's like diets out there, obviously, where if a guy's trying to pack on 20 to 30 pounds of muscle, he might be taking 400 grams of protein in a day basis. So is he essentially wasting 60% or 40% or some percentage of that protein that he's ingesting?
A lot of that is getting wasted. But of course, let's say somebody that's really going under that level of trauma and they're really traumatizing the muscle, and they're probably enhanced as well. So whether you're on HRT or any other type of performance enhancing drug, that is going to enhance the ability for the body to synthesize and absorb protein and utilize it to form that new tissue. But even being enhanced, you're still not getting full absorption of all of that. If anything, your body's going to convert any extra aminos to glucose through the process of gluconeogenesis.
Really?
Yeah.
And is there a risk of that creating additional health issues or anything down the road if you're over proteining and not taxing your body enough to actually utilize it?
Over the course of time, I mean, if you have any pre-existing renal condition, kidney condition, if you've, and everybody's different. Just like you could see guys that could go out and hammer a fifth of Jack Daniels and like their liver enzymes are fine. Then you could have somebody that's does occasional casual drinking once or twice a week and their liver enzymes are through the roof. So a lot of that is genetic. But of course, everything in your body, your liver and your kidneys have to process. And so you get to a point where, after a period of time, you are going to lose your ability to utilize all those nutrients. And that's why as we get older now, you'll even see like Arnold, guys back in the day that were eating like, 2 pounds of red meat twice a day. Or like you see Jay Cutler on all these podcasts talking how he's eating 140 eggs a day. Like physiologically, I mean, it's not something that you want to put your body through. You can only do that for such a short period of time.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it just gets to the point, not only that, but even the powders that we're taking, right? You're drinking a mixed drink for this, a mixed drink for this. You're adding protein. You're adding a pre-workout. You're doing a BCAAs. You're doing a post-workout. You're adding more protein. Like you talk about greens as the big thing that's out there now is everybody, you're taking your green. And it's like, man, we've gotten to the point where like we're trying to put everything into mix it with water in order to ingest it. And I feel like there's a point where your body's like, this isn't the way you're supposed to like take in protein or take in carbs or take in sugars. And, the way that you're doing this isn't going to be the best long term. So when we get into like, bodybuilding or athletes in general that are enhanced and taking some of these other aspects, a lot of people will say that's what led to their demise eventually. But it's at the same point in time, it's like, was it that or was it the fact he was ingesting like 600 grams of this on a daily basis and 300 of it was through a drink rather than actual food? His body didn't digest it. It's just interesting to look at those different aspects. I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV. But right. when I hear about those different things, it's like, who's doing the research on why the result was what it was? And are we as a population just so quick for the fast way, convenience? We talk about it all the time on this show about how the cost of convenience drives prices up on everything.
Sure.
Well, it's way more convenient for me to mix, my 20-ounce bottle of water, my protein and my greens that I need for the next 6 hours than it is for me to go upstairs and cook asparagus and make some chicken.
And prepare the meal, right?
Right. So is it to the point where we especially in the fact that health and fitness is becoming more and more of a trend, which is a good thing. I love seeing that. But are we trending towards doing things the wrong way because it's faster and easier? And then long term, we're going to see the ramifications of that in either additional diseases or physical failures later on down the road in life.
Right. No, I think to answer that, I think what you find is when you're new to it and you got the newbies coming in that are like just learning the whole process of their body and wow, there's these different products I can take and I want to do my protein drink 3 times a day and I'm going to take this greens product. Eventually you get to a point where it's like, you know what? I just want to use the bare basic shit that I need, right? Like 1 protein drink a day after a workout, maybe a whey isolate, maybe I'll take some greens, And I was a huge supplement junkie back, from my late teens and 20s, like where you have every different product. I'm taking something for this, something for that. We're like, then you get to a point where like, I'm just sick of taking all these pills and powders. I want just like the bare bones basics.
I'm spending a lot of time on the toilet.
Yeah. More fiber supplements. Keep yourself cleaned out. And then as you get older, everybody sees great results, whether you're enhanced or not enhanced in your 20s and into your 30s because your receptors are fresh. Your body's pancreatic function's still good. So you're still producing, optimal amounts of insulin. You have good insulin receptor sensitivity, so your body is absorbing those nutrients, and that's where like you could do protein drinks 3 times a day and eat a ton of carbs. And a lot of guys feel like, oh wow, I'm gaining good muscle. Then all of a sudden, like you're 35, 40, and you're following the same diet you did when you were 25, taking all the same supplements, and you're just on the toilet with gas. It's like, why am I not absorbing this anymore?
Well, it's like I told my wife the other day. I was like, I can just sense that I'm just getting older because it's like I'm working out harder than I did in my 20s and 30s. I'm eating way healthier than I have in the last 20 years, and I'm getting like minimal results. Like, and yeah, part of it's where I'm like, I want to see it faster, and it's like harder as you get older to see those quick results. Like, not everything changes really fast in a week. But yeah, there's a big difference in your 20s. Like I remember there'd be a point where I didn't work out for like 2 years and I'd gain a little weight, but like 6 weeks into the gym, I could already see the difference. 6 months, it was like I've been working out every day, you know?
You're bouncing back.
Yeah, muscle memory only goes so far when you're in your 40s.
No, seriously.
You guys got anything to add on this aspect right now?
Well, not really in terms of supplements, but I don't know. This kind of maybe you can answer this, Joe. We've kind of had a debate on the show a little bit here over the last several weeks. Say you have somebody that's diabetic, and let's say they're in a critically low blood sugar situation.
My God, you're gonna bring this one up. You guys.
What is the quickest, most effective way to get sugar into a person in this condition?
Well, due to the nature of how everybody's laughing, you're probably thinking of the honey bear treatment.
I have not heard of the honey bear treatment.
Please
enlighten us. Yeah.
You would well, typically it'd be like a 5 to 10 gram dextrose tablet or some type of a fast acting sugar that you could take orally.
Okay.
But then at times, and I don't know who was promoting this, but the honey bear treatment was essentially where you would take honey with the little spout and insert it into the rectum and squeeze it.
No,
that's essentially the fastest way
I'm
to
not
get
doing
sugar
that one.
into the system.
Okay, so what about
You guys are doing that.
What about
I've never done it, never recommended it. I this is like the stuff I'm hearing on Instagram.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Holy.
that seems credible to me. So
That's where I go for my information, right?
what? Okay, but so what about like nasally? Like like if you had like a very fine sugar, could you
Like a
snort it?
pixie stick.
Or
Or
like- yeah.
snort a pixie stick to get the sugar in there
Yeah.
quicker.
yeah, I mean, I know for drug delivery, I mean, intranasal is a quick way to get a drug into the system. But
Saving lives, Evan.
whether or not you'd be able to elevate blood glucose enough if you were taking yourself out of like a diabetic attack, like if you're a hypoglycemic,
Right.
where you have to
Look at all
get
these-
your blood sugar levels up. I mean,
Right.
typically, just fast-acting sugar is usually the best way. Like,
Okay. Okay, so with
Do
that,
you need a shot right now?
No.
Are you
With that-
okay?
well,
if your
hold on.
alarm goes off.
No,
I
no,
tell
no,
you.
no, no, no. I would say a can of pop. That's what I say.
That's really healthy. You hear that, diabetics out there? The best way to get back in health is to chug a can of pop.
Oh, it's the best.
Evan,
We're gonna make
I
you
would like, and if you haven't figured it out, we're talking about Evan here. The last thing that any of us want to shove up your ass is an entire can of pop. First of all,
Or honey. I have no desire to put honey up your ass.
I'm
either.
sorry,
look,
but that's not going to happen.
I understand, and the good news here is that you have choices. Okay,
Oh my God.
so
It's not a yes or no.
right, yeah,
We're
a
gonna
hell
make it
no.
very easier. It's gonna be a or a no way. Like you got options.
So in the future, I think I think we have enough for a vote here. We could make this as part of the Guys Night podcast constitution. I've just made that up right now, by the way. The very first amendment will have to do if this is not specific to any person, but any diabetic who has a monitoring system that goes off during a podcast,
Could be any one of the four of us sitting here at this table.
or
right
any
now.
guests or anything.
Sure.
No one specific. We're not singling anyone out. It's everyone. And so there's a choice. So we have done extensive research via Google and other places. And we have found a very super fine. I actually went to Amish country to get this here. So we have a very super fine sugar product here that can be snorted.
okay.
And then to make things a little easier with the new suggestion that we just heard is
Ring pops.
we have a ring
Okay,
pop
ring
here,
pop.
which would be, I mean, I think pretty much if we hawk Tua on that, like and then, so again, there's choices.
It's like a plug.
It's not going to go in my butt.
right in there.
Jesus.
And
Options, Evan. We wanted to give you options.
Too slow release.
Right.
Too slow release.
Yeah, look at
if you
him.
had a button on there that would squirt the contents
Oh.
into the rectum, then
Okay.
that would work.
I didn't even think of, okay, so we need a third option. We need to get the little honey bear thing there. So, okay.
Holy shit.
Oh, and again, this is not specific to Evan. We're not singling anyone out. This is anybody. Okay, but we'll get the honey.
What the fuck is?
All right.
Or if you had a nurse nearby that just string you up to a glucose drip,
I like that his idea.
Sorry, zero available in an emergency situation like that. So
Yeah,
we'll have to.
Evan has a tendency of letting his alarm go off, and right here on the show, and we get worried about his health. So we were trying to get him. We thought it'd be funny. It was like, you know, I mean, you're a man, you can do like funny shit. Like I was like, oh, let's get it like a line of sugar and just have him snort it right on the podcast. It'd be hilarious. And I was like, and it'll be good for you. Somewhat. And he was like, I'm not doing that until I talk to my doctor. I was like, dude, it's like when we were kids, you remember people with pixie sticks in high school would like snort the pixie stick because they thought it was funny. I was like, you're gonna be fine. It's probably gonna be good for you. Your doctor will probably tell you it's okay, but you'll never ask him. So
Did you ask your doctor?
I haven't gone to my doctor yet.
well, that's mistake number 3.
You have a glucometer? Okay. Oh, there you go. So then, yeah, you should probably get an instant reading.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would answer it.
We would test it out, right?
Yeah.
See, because he was on here the other day and he dropped down to what, like a 72 or 68 or something.
68.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was like, we were worried about him. He was teetering on the edge of, you know, going out. What are you doing over there? Anyhow, so he drank a pop. We had him shotgun a pop really fast on here because we thought, let's see. It took like 45 minutes for it to go up to like 80.
Yeah.
And we were worried about him. So we were like, hey,
Evan,
next time.
Because the pop high fructose corn syrup, it's not a high glycemic carb.
Right.
Right.
You know, and I'll tell you, it's interesting because with so many people fasting and doing like these ketogenic diets or low carb diets, that's like one essential like skill in life is you've got to be able to know how to pull yourself out of a low blood sugar attack or like in a potential diabetic episode because like it gets scary. I mean, when people are just starting like to do low carb dieting or you're working out and all of a sudden like, you start dripping into a cold sweat, especially if you're taking supplements that over the counter that help to lower blood glucose, chromium polynicotinate, vanadyl sulfate, lipoic acid, a lot of these things that are included in some diet products because of course your body can't burn fat in the presence of sugar and insulin. So things you want to lower your blood glucose levels down, but then it's a delicate balance because you got to know if it goes too low. I mean, you could literally pass out. So it is kind of important to be prepared. For
what level does it reach for when you're going to pass out?
Believe it or not, I've been it's extremely high and extremely low before. The lowest I've ever been and a conscious like walking around was 33.
Yeah, I remember you telling that. He told us that story.
Yeah, 33. Okay. I was it was about 2 a.m. I woke up, I was covered in sweat. I'm like, I don't know where I was. I didn't know my name. I didn't know what's going on. All I just had to think of, I'm thirsty. So, so I had to go. I went downstairs and I was like, the first thing I saw was a can of pop and I just started chugging it. And the next thing you know, I start coming to. It took me about 20 to 30 minutes before I actually knew where it was and what was going on. I'm like, what time is it? Where am I? What happened?
What's your reading right now?
200.
Oh, your money.
You're at 200 now?
Yeah, I'm 200.
Why are you so high?
I ate before coming here. That's why the insulin takes a little bit to kick in.
Are you on Humalog 70-30?
I'm actually on Tresiba
Okay.
and Humalog. I have fast acting and the slow acting one.
Do you use any anti-hyperglycemic agent like metformin or?
Not right now. The doctor just wants me on these two. I do take a pill form for like cinnamon and stuff. He wants me on that stuff, and I also take chromium copictolite.
Okay, chromium picolinate. Yeah,
Uh,
I take that too. So those are the two I take twice a day, 500 milligrams each session.
Wow.
So as part of the Constitution, we'll just say that, like, so when you're, or the person, anybody, non-specific, if they become incapacitated, then a game of, well, because that person, if they're incapacitated, could not voluntarily do.
So you want to stick it up the ass? I'm saying
what anybody else who's present, there will be a game of Rochambeau, commonly known as rock paper scissors, to determine who exactly is going to do the hawk and who's going to do the tool of this device over here.
I don't know why you're slapping my hat back. I'm squared away, brother.
One of you guys going to have to bend me over.
Well, you'll be unconscious. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna be unconscious.
Or I mean, you could just not be a sissy, and you could just Scarface this.
Yeah.
I mean, I just had this conversation with somebody the other day, actually, but I was like, dude, you could literally just
open up a line and just start sniffing
go.
it. Oh my god!
And it's Amish, so you know it's good.
Oh yeah.
This is powdered sugar.
Yeah, I told you I got the super fine stuff right there. Like
powdered sugar, that's not the same as like granular sugar or
No,
Yeah,
because
powder
it's in a powder. It's not.
Yeah, is it-
granulated.
has
I'm
the
wondering
same
if that's
effect?
more like the donut stuff, like when you powder sugar your donuts
Like on
from
a-
bakery.
like a-
yeah,
it
it's-
is. Yeah,
it's
this
not like
is-
pure cane sugar. That might be a different glycemic index on that.
yeah, you're gonna have to get him the cane sugar because I feel like this is just gonna like
I'm gonna die.
this isn't gonna do anything. I would think. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV, but something tells me we should just leave this. It looks like a brick of
Coke.
Yep.
sugar, powdered sugar. I mean, dude, you could just next time it happens, we'll try this first. See what
Yeah.
that's
How
like.
about I just bring a jar of honey? I just start
It's not the
eating
same. No, it's not even. You know what? Comment below if you want to see Evan snort sugar on the podcast.
And if you would like to see something else, Evan has an OnlyFans that you can search.
So you know, it was a great conversation though, because for anybody that's listening and they don't know you from Adam, and this is the first time they've come across you. We didn't plan that portion out, right? So we got into talking about insulin, talking about the different things that as a diabetic, Evan's talking. And you're obviously very educated when it comes to the aspect of what drugs and stuff to take. So, and you have an extensive history prior to the last 10, I mean, it was probably 10, 12 years ago when you competed, right?
I competed like from 95 to 2003.
And bodybuilding for those that might just
Yep.
be tuning in. So my question is then, so does your knowledge expand to the, I wouldn't say the dark side, but the PED, the performance enhancing side of bodybuilding and things like that as well? Meaning, are you able to talk just as researched when it comes to, you know, testosterone versus TRT versus the different types of anabolics that people are putting in their body and things like that and how they operate? Are you pretty familiar in those things as well?
Yeah, no, I mean, truthfully, from the beginning, I mean, I can't tell you there's been nothing that I've been more like psychotically passionate about has just been learning information on how to control the body. And even when I began bodybuilding, you know, like when I went to college, I was just thinking, it's like, oh, everybody's just working out. Like you don't realize, like I ran track at Ignatius, and then I went to Mount Union, and Mount Union was Division III national football champions and everything.
For like
and,
every year.
and that was like, my first exposure to like, man, like what are these guys doing? You know? And then I'm thinking, well, maybe they're taking more GNC supplements. So that's when I kind of started getting into that.
Right.
And then, but throughout the course of my career, I mean, I definitely, being a human lab rat and human guinea pig, I think that's what's really, allowed me to fully understand how the body, reacts to many of these different compounds, over the counter, performance enhancing drugs. And even like take, for instance, like when the andro craze hit, that was the first time, like when I was near the end of my competitive career, when you were literally able to go into a GNC or a vitamin shop and buy 19-nor-androstenedione, androdiol, and these different compounds that actually were over-the-counter legal steroids, and they worked amazingly well. And so, I've had, an opportunity to experiment with all of these things over the years. And then more so, let's say the last, 10 to 15 years, speaking to individuals that are still competing, trying to push to the next level, and just, learning how to properly, give them the right information to make the best decisions on what they're putting in their body. Although just because things have gotten so crazy the last few years, there's so many of these guys that are like online coaches, online gurus, and there's no rhyme or rhythm behind like, why they're giving athletes like super high dosages of certain anabolics or androgens, or, changing it up every 2 to 3 weeks. Like it's just, I think a lot of people just like, they think it's cool and they don't realize like, I mean, you really are playing with your body, and you got to really be careful. There's nothing wrong with HRT, nothing wrong with TRT. If get your blood work done, and you're going to a doctor, and even for instance, I have a website coming out called MyFlexRx, which is for HRT, peptides, all these different regenerative medicines that you can get done through your doctor's supervision, that we have on staff. So I'm not necessarily against it at all. I'm really pro information, and then I think people have to just make the decision on what they want to do. And if you are competing in bodybuilding, you got to look at it and say, all right, well, am I doing this just for a short period of time? Am I doing this to win a contest? Am I doing this to win a show? And I think in our 20s, we all think that like we're invincible and nothing's ever going to hurt you, and that's why you see now, like when you go to like any of these bodybuilding websites, even like at the Arnold, they talk every year, like all these guys like from 45 to 55 that were, heavy powerlifting, using heavy androgens, heavy anabolics back in like the 80s and 90s. They're now dealing with a lot of problems, and so that's where, nobody ever wants to encounter that.
Yeah. Did you have something you want to say?
Well,
Evan?
I'm just saying, you talking about all the coaches out there. I think there's a lot of coaches that have never went to college for athletes or gone to college to be a trainer. I think
Right.
they've just been to like competitions and they've competed, but they've never gone the full length. And I have a big problem with coaches that are just been competitors, but never have gone to school for it. I don't think anybody that just because you've competed doesn't mean you're a coach. That's what I'm sorry. I have no problem you being a coach, but I believe you have to go to college. You have to get some formal training and background and some of that stuff before you lead other people.
Well, I think it's very easy for somebody, let's say you've competed for 10 years. At that point, you probably had 2, 3, maybe 4 different coaches that have all kind of done different things for you. You've had success, right? So you say, hey, you know what? I had success doing this. I had success with this. I didn't with this. I dieted well on this. And then you're right. And it goes back to the idea that there's a lot of different influencers out there. They're all kind of pitching the same thing. Like, this worked for me, but ultimately everybody's body is different, not just overall, but the way that we process different foods, proteins, like we've talked about the different supplements that are out there. The way that one, because it's not like there's just like, hey, I want to go on testosterone, and there's just like, oh, here's your testosterone. It comes in this nice little vial. It's the same no matter where you get it. But there's different labs. There's different quality. I believe there's multiple ways that it's derived and created with different agents that are tied to it. And that's just testosterone, right? The most simplest of all different things. And then how much you're taking, how much you need to take, who's doing your blood level testing along the way. Like, there's just so many more aspects to it that it's not just, hey, here's a vial, take one shot of this every 4 days or every 3 days, and you'll notice differences. You will, but what's the response of, okay, well, how long, like, what's the plan as far as how long are we going to take it? How do we know who's going to be checking blood levels? Where are you going to go get your labs done? What are the next steps afterwards? Like, when are you going to decide this is the last day that I'm going to take it? How are you going to wind down? Or are you just going to cold turkey stop it? What are you going to supplement with afterwards in order to recorrect your hormones? Because we know that there's plenty of history out there that says when you start putting fake anything into your body says you got enough and I don't need to create any more, which leads to lots of long-term issues that we've talked about. I think any man that's done any kind of hormone PED type thing is seen aspects of that return where it's either depression or physical ability dropping or sexual performance and libido and things like that being affected. So just talk a little bit to the aspect of when somebody starts to look into that process. What are, like, how much goes in? Let's just talk testosterone for a minute. That's the big one. TRT's being pitched out there by anybody that's got a doctor attached to their name or nurse is opening up the next performance shop that says, hey, come here, we're going to maximize everything.
Right.
We've already had PH Performance on here, which talked about the fact that even hospitals, doctors that are trained every day, their job is to quickly get you through. They're checking your blood to make sure that you're in the balance, but they're not saying like how the different calculations and things can affect other aspects long term. Now they say that a regular full blood panel could predict diabetes as far as like 10 years in advance, 5 years in advance, I believe it is. So let's just talk to testosterone a little bit. What's your opinion of how it's being pushed out there right now? And then what are the different breakdowns of really how it's derived, lab work, things like that, and how people can get in contact with the right people and how they know it's the right people?
Let me frame that just real quick with a little bit of Evan's point and your point as we go into that. And I think, like, I agree with Evan in that, I partially agree with Evan in that, you know, somebody who has succeeded at something isn't necessarily going to be the best person to, you know, coach somebody. Like, you know, if I survive a heart attack, I'm not in any position to go practice medicine and coach people how to survive a heart attack. I've just survived a heart attack, right? So I think that's what you were getting at, Evan, is just that, like,
I think because everybody has a different metabolism, a different way of breaking down tissue, fat, building muscle up. That's why you need schooling for it. You need to know how to different ways of working out.
And even doctors get it wrong. That's why they have malpractice insurance. That's why it's actually called practicing medicine. They don't heal anything. They don't fix anything. They practice medicine. It's sort of the same thing, right? But yeah, a doctor, or in this case, like with a PH Performance, where they have medical degrees, medical backgrounds, and they're experienced and they're in the sport. So, they have the ability to just step outside of wanting to win, and, they can look at it, through the lens of like, let's make sure you're not going to kill yourself doing this. Any idea how many people that were in the sport of bodybuilding who died last year?
Oh God, there was one at Old School Iron, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I mean,
he just died 40? In general in bodybuilding?
Probably.
As a result of bodybuilding.
Do you have the answer?
Do you have the answer?
Oh,
well, no, I mean, every year, like after Christmas, they put up a video, like one of Generation Iron or one of these like websites that's literally like bodybuilders we've lost this year. And it's like people, you're like, oh, wow, like I remembered seeing that guy like 7-10 years ago. And like, I mean, I think on average it might be like 40 to 50 people. If I'm not mistaken, I mean, I'd say in that range, just from videos that I've seen.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, fortunately, it's not quite that high, but two different reports. One said 24, one said 23.
Okay.
From direct result. The one, there was a 21-year-old kid who died of severe dehydration, obviously trying to cut weight.
So that actually, it's not from cutting weight. Well, it is, but it isn't. We actually just had that happen the first day of the Arnold.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The girl.
Yeah, she was 23. She was actually a coach as well.
Yeah, she was.
And it is partial. It is dehydration, severe dehydration from what you're drinking, but I'm assuming it's also how you're dieting and supplementing ahead of time up to show that leads to that.
It's
and I've not competed, so I wouldn't know. I don't want to misspeak to it. Maybe you could speak to that a little bit before we get into the testosterone aspect.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the competing now, you have, back in the day, there was like a few things people would take. And even like the top pros will tell you that. You'd listen to Ronnie and Jay, there was sort of the basic stuff they would use. Testosterone, certain anabolics, certain androgens, maybe a little growth hormone, right? And it was pretty much dedicated or accessible to like the elite. And what's happening now, and the problem that I see, is that there's so much widespread accessibility, and everybody's just kind of like playing Russian roulette, and they're just kind of experimenting with themselves. And Evan, to your point, is that there really is no school to go to learn anabolic pharmacology, how to properly do these things. Because when you really think about it, it's kind of messed up that like we're playing this chemical game with our bodies to just get it to look a certain way.
Right.
Like even like
let's be honest too, it's all illegal. It's you can't go into the local store and just purchase it, right?
Right. Yeah. No. Most of it would definitely be an illegal activity.
Well, it's I would put it on the same scale, maybe not as as potent, but I would say it's no different than if I were to go buy cocaine or marijuana in a state where it's illegal. Like if I go buy testosterone or Anadrol or anything like that, like I'm buying an illegal substance in that sense. Is that correct?
In many states, it would be considered Schedule 1. So you would have, anabolics would be in the same classification as cocaine.
Yeah, but it's funny because I have friends that actually fly to the Philippines, go to Mexico, and buy this stuff and fly back.
Yeah, but it's not illegal there.
It's not illegal there. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, you can go to Mexico and do like one of those little hospital things, and HGH is just sitting right there, like $29 or $39 for the bottle. You just rip it and go.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off on that.
But I think you bring up a really great point, and this is where everybody that I encounter, just being in the world that I'm in, right? Is like I'm impressed with how you have all the digital stuff set up here. That's like your world, right? You're out there, building a barn, doing all these things like. When it comes to the body, that's kind of like my world. And when you're looking at supplements, drugs, and the pharmacokinetics of all this, and I think what it really is, we don't know, you have to have such really good instincts and intuition and an understanding of the human body. So let's say there's no degree in this, let's say performance enhancement, but you've got to have standard understanding of anatomy, physiology. You got to understand, the endocrine system, the cardiovascular system, the pituitary gland, how all this stuff works, and then how these different drugs affect that. And so sometimes there are certain things that, you might actually need, but you don't know, well, what's the optimal dose. And so I think for like a good quote coach or even like a doctor, they have to be able to identify, okay, you know what, let's say Evan's coming in and I see his blood glucose is at 200. You know what, we got to make sure that, we're getting you on and managing your insulin properly and getting you on the right, anti-hyperglycemic agent, because if we put you on growth hormone, that could potentially cause your blood sugar to drop too much, or, too much testosterone might cause high blood pressure if you're already dealing with high blood glucose. So a lot of that is sort of like the basic stuff. But in terms of like with the whole competitive aspect of it, it really is like there's no roadmap to it. And I remember like reading a number of different books back in the 90s, like, the Anabolic Reference Guide or the Underground Steroid Handbook, just because you're trying to learn this information, to see like, what does what. But now it's really, HRT is kind of like the new thing. I mean, this has been out now for several years, and it's been proven that there's really nothing wrong if your testosterone levels are below normal range. It's measured in nanograms per deciliter of blood. So 300 to 600 is considered normal range. So if you go in there, you're 40 years old, you get your blood work test, and you come back at 350, an average doctor is going to say, well, you're in the low end of the normal range, you're good. Another doctor is going to be like, well, how are you feeling? I'm kind of tired, libido's gone. Really don't feel like doing much. Well, you know what? Let me get you on a low dose or a therapeutic dose of testosterone. To your point earlier, well, what type of testosterone? Just like with protein, you got fast acting testosterone propionate or testosterone suspension, which is like a water-based testosterone in and out of the system in a day.
Wow.
Testosterone propionate, which is a 2 to 3 duration
Isn't
of
that
effect.
oil-based?
Typically testosterone suspension would be water-based.
Okay.
And the history of that is Hitler back in, I know one MMA fighter was making a comment about Hitler. Trump was going off on that. But no, he was actually giving his soldiers back in that era amphetamines and crude water-based testosterone injections daily because he was trying to, amp everybody up. But no, so the testosterone goes, you got your fast, middle, long-acting. And typically most doctors are now using like testosterone cypionate or testosterone enanthate, which is like a very basic 7 to 10 day duration of effect, so that you only have to dose it, once a week or once every, every 10 days, for people that don't want to take the injection. Then there's also alternate methods where you can use the cream, you could use a gel, but from an effectiveness standpoint, you're going to get more stable blood glucose or blood testosterone levels when you're using it through an injectable form.
So when you say HRT versus TRT, what is the difference in that?
Hormone replacement technology, testosterone replacement technology, essentially the same thing. And if you were to go,
but HRT can relate to more than just testosterone, I'm assuming, correct?
Yes, that's now we're talking all hormones. We're talking growth hormone, we're talking insulin, we're talking progesterone, we're talking anything that would have to do with the hormonal system of the body. TRT, just testosterone.
Right. And like where is somebody normally going to get into this if it's just from a health standpoint? Like, right, I mean, Dave and I are both over 40. You're over 40. Evans looks like he's over 50. Sorry.
It's all that high blood glucose.
But we're all considered, like, we're past our prime as far as ultimate hormone production, right?
Totally.
So where is somebody going to begin that research, or where's that process lead or start with?
Well, if you're lucky and you have a good general practitioner that understands men's health and is open to saying, hey, let's get you up to the normal range, that's usually your best first step. Most general practitioners are going to say, oh, you don't need that. You're fine. You're getting out of bed. Just deal with it, right? The next best step would be to typically look for an anti-aging clinic. There are some, there's guys that are like bioidentical hormone replacement therapy specialists that you could go to that literally are specializing in optimizing, male performance. And then of course, now you can go online, which is the quickest way to do it. And be able to just, have a doctor prescribe blood work. You go to your local LabCorp, donate blood. They do the reading. Comes back, they check not just your testosterone, but your estrogen, blood glucose levels, liver enzymes, kidney function, to make sure that your body can handle, an exogenous hormone.
Right.
And then from there, they'll typically give you a prescription. You'll have it. You'll either pay out of pocket if your insurance doesn't cover it, but either way, you'll be able to get your testosterone. And that's what a lot of these online sites are doing. And typically you want to go with one that's, trusted. And
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you can run into the same thing where it's no different than you're just asking them to basically prescribe you something. They get money based off prescriptions, etc.
sure.
So, but even with prescribed TRT or HCG, I believe is another one. Even with these being prescribed, these are still things that are these are non. What's the word I'm looking for? Apologize. These are synthetic hormones, right?
Synthetic.
So you do risk the response to that being negative in the sense, like if you're already producing low hormone or low testosterone, like now that you're injecting it, like you're going to reduce your body's production level even more so. So we get into things like wanting to be able to have kids, or if you there could be side effects to those supplemental versions that now it could affect you long term. So it's not just like, hey, I went and did this thing, they told me I had low testosterone, go start taking it. Like that might be something where you go into 1 or 2 different places, 3 different places, maybe have multiple people examine your blood work. And research doesn't just start and stop with what you want to hear. I think that's the big thing when we were getting into like where people are at now as far as what they're taking, what kind of supplements that they're taking, what kind of steroids that are being out there, or PEDs, is that it's like, hey, look, I found this video that says it's okay to take this, and these are the results that this guy got. So hey, that's all the research I need to do. I'm moving on, right? And that goes into, look up the bad just as much as often as you're looking up the good when you're talking about doing any of this stuff.
Right. And really it comes down to the KISS principle as well. I mean, you could really overcomplicate, all of this. And you mentioned, let's say the age of 40, right? You got a lot of younger kids now. I mean, a couple of these Instagram heroes, obviously these kids are yoked up. I mean, they're taking, testosterone, tren, everything else in their 20s. And that's when you really want to be concerned about causing endocrine disruption and damage, because let's say you're doing this at 22, 23, all of a sudden 27, 28, maybe you're not competing anymore. You don't want to do this anymore. Now you're dealing with endocrine disruption because you were taking an outside source or an exogenous source of testosterone, shutting your body's own production down. And that's when you get into things like HCG or Clomid that are natural gonadotropins that will stimulate the pituitary, the Leydig cells in the body to start producing testosterone again. If you suppress for too long or stay on testosterone at a young age for too long, then you come off. That's what's the trick of jump starting that again. Now, typically when you're over 40 and your levels are already pretty low, you have to make that decision of saying, you know what? Do I want to feel like shit the rest of my life, or do I accept the fact that in order to feel good, I'm going to need to be on testosterone replacement therapy for life, which also still means that you want to take something that's still going to help to keep your natural testosterone levels being produced, even at a low level, so you're not dealing with complete shutdown.
Yeah, and that's, once again, it gets to that part of when to become over supplement. But everybody's obsessed with trying to make the best out of the life, which I don't have anything against. I think it's just important that people are doing that research, and it's obviously that you're very educated in this field, as well as a lot that we've talked about as far as supplements.
Well, it's kind of funny because my doctor wants me on TRT because I don't have a low. I'm like, I think he measured mine at like 390.
Okay, which is pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Well, it's good now, but we had a couple of guys on before that said that normal used to be closer to like 800 to 1200, and since it's lowered so much over the population that they've adjusted that sliding scale. Basically, it's like a curve has been added to that.
Yeah, and then he's like, also you're type 1 diabetic, so your numbers are going to go down twice as fast. He's like, your muscle growth is not going to happen as fast because, again, being diabetic, recovery is going to take twice as long. So no matter what you do, so he's like, because my endocrinologist wants me on it, but my regular doctor does not want me on it.
Sure.
So they're messaging each other back and forth.
They gave you a participation trophy.
Yeah.
And actually, testosterone will help to manage healthy blood glucose levels, so you could potentially lessen your insulin dose.
Yeah.
And from that standpoint, it's probably the healthy thing to do.
Yeah.
What's crazy is like this is really something like most men really need to learn about this, because you can't just, everything's accessible now, whether it's testosterone, Viagra, Cialis. There's all these different, everybody's suffering from something,
Yeah.
right? I mean, ED is being brought up every day. You know, like on different commercials and that. And you could be on.
Well, there's 25 different types of ED, from blue to chew to Viagra to everything,
Yeah.
Cialis. There's so many things that are out there, and obviously they're part of the pharmaceutical industry, so they're pushed like crazy. You have this Viagra and Cialis that are on cable, I think, pretty much every day, and then you have the Facebook, Instagram side of it with Blue Chews or whatever. So yeah, it's something that's being pushed, and it's starting to becoming a bigger issue with younger men, and that goes to a lot with, you know, we talked about the sliding range of normal versus not normal testosterone, right?
Right.
If you used to be on average, you know, 600 to 1200 or 800 to 1200, and now you're at 300 to 600, you got a lot of people, and there's various reasons to why this could be. You know, we will plan on doing a podcast where it comes to porn addiction. We talk about the different plastics that we consume on a daily basis, and that how everything has some kind of what's the word I'm looking for processed. It's everything is some kind of form of processed food, or it's just, there's so much that's changed in the course of the last 25 years with the human intake that it's hard to pinpoint it to one, and it's hard to just stop any of them, let alone all of it all at once. And like, oh, this is the problem, let's fix it.
Right.
So it's definitely becoming something that's consuming the market, and it's easier to get now. You just get a phone call from an online doctor who says, "Oh, you had a hard time getting a hard on last night? No problem. Here's some drugs." Then it's like, shit, this works with alcohol. No more whiskey dick for me. So yeah, it's interesting to how this is all kind of changing the aspect of
Right.
supplementing men's bodies across the world.
Even, you know, and we've all heard, you know, menopause, right? I mean, mothers, grandmothers, I mean, that was like a very common term for decades. You know, women go through menopause. Now all of a sudden, andropause. Well, andropause is the same age-related decline in testosterone. And so, you know, I think for anybody that's out there listening, and you're something it's of interest to you, you just got to have the right strategy, go to a competent medical practitioner, or find, you know, somebody that you feel good about, and have a long-term strategy.
Yeah.
And understand like what anti-estrogens you need, you know, what you may need to support, you know, your blood glucose level. So, you know, it's not just like take testosterone, feel good, just pop a couple, you know, Viagra and, you know, have a roaring erection for a couple days. I mean,
Right.
you gotta have some method and a long-term mindset behind when you start anything, to make sure that, you know, it's something that's going to be sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. So does anybody else have any questions on this aspect? We talked about the types of testosterone, but can we just check onto that real quick? Because
Sure.
I believe there's like alcohol derived versus there's other ways of like almost like a cutting mechanism of it or something of that nature.
Well, a lot of that has to do with what substance they're using to suspend it. So sometimes they may use a certain ratio of benzyl alcohol. And so there's other things that are essentially used to mix in the testosterone to keep it in a stable form. And so that's where you might find some people get site injection pain if they're using if there's too much benzyl alcohol, or if they're putting too much of a concentration of testosterone. Because let's say the average dosing would be like 1 milliliter, would be like, let's say 200 milligrams. And there are some testosterones that might have 400 milligrams or 600 milligrams per ml, which is a really high concentration. So then when that goes into the body, it can cause site pain, injection pain, in conjunction with whatever it's being mixed with, you know.
So, and the other aspect of this too is, once again, we talked about the labs that you guys use, but some of that's derived from the lab that it's coming in, right? Because some labs have different standards and things like that, especially when it's not something that's prescription based.
Sure. Yeah. Everybody has a different way they do it. And that's where, like, typically the best advice is that's not one area that you want to go cheap on. Because usually it's like thinking, oh, I can get something for, let's say it's $100 versus $200. When it comes to like testosterone, you're better off investing in quality that is going to be, you know, safe, pain-free, and it's going to give you exactly what you're looking for in terms of, you know, proper dosage and accurate dosing.
And I wanted to have Nick on here tonight because Nick, you're familiar with Nick, right? Montequilla?
Yeah.
That dude is a research nut, and he's one of those guys. He's a coach. He's competed, but he's over researched. And I would love to have had the two of you on here to kind of go back and forth.
That might be another good separate show.
Yeah, we might have to have him on because I know, you know, he's one of those guys that he does know his stuff, but also he doesn't have a background in it other than what he's learned from competing. Now he will say that like he's you don't come up with that kind of a knowledge without doing research. But it would have been interesting to have you two on, so we might have to do that again, and maybe get a couple others on, because it'd be interesting to. In fact, we talked about having PH Performance back on. I need to get my appointment scheduled with them, because I told them we'd actually go over my lab work online, and it'd be interesting to have like multiple different people kind of look at that and see where everybody kind of looks at it as far as, you know, what different things that a natural 42-year-old man might need or require and stuff like that. So we will definitely have to do that. But let's talk about some other stuff. So we talked about a couple of the things that you're offering. You mentioned a new partnership that you're starting to come up with, or that you're going to release it. Pretty exciting news. Big name in the industry that surrounds performance, right? But yeah, why don't you share a little bit about what you brought with you tonight, and what your plan is going forward with it, and kind of how it all came together.
Sure. There's a world famous boxing champion, Manny Pacquiao, which many people know who he is. He's, you know, one of the greatest fighters of all time. I was introduced to his people a few years ago. There was a project I was working on that was in the functional beverage industry. So a functional beverage is essentially a liquid infused with ingredients to give it a particular function. Energy drink is one. Focus drink is another. If you have a dream water, it's, you know, something for sleep. And so
I didn't even know there was dream water.
Yeah,
never heard that before.
Yeah,
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's like a melatonin little shot.
Really?
They sell them at Hudson's News and the airports and that.
No kidding.
To knock
Okay.
people out. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you.
Yeah, but no, but the sleep beverages are pretty big. Relaxation now. People are looking for like non-THC ways. You don't want to be high, but you want to chill out. So it's like, you know, everybody wants to drink their vitamins now. Nobody wants to have to just slug down pills and mix up powders. So a few years ago, there was I was introduced to Manny Pacquiao's people, particularly to help him with his performance nutrition. And with him being over 40, still performing amazingly well.
Ridiculous.
I had put him on a very basic stack of nootropics, which essentially nootropics, for those that don't know, are just different ingredients, natural ingredients, some made in the lab but not illegal, that help to improve brain performance. So this is beneficial for everybody, especially for athletes, because it helps with, you know, memory, learning, recall, reaction time, information processing, and speed and power output. Everything that's going to benefit a fighter or an athlete.
But isn't there? I heard there's like a mushroom that's supposed to be really high in nootropics, like a certain kind of mushroom.
Sure. Well, there's lion's mane. There's another.
Yeah, I think it was the lion's
Yep,
mane that was
there's-
really high in really natural nootropics. For you.
Well, remember, nootropic is like, think of nootropic as a name of a category that is something that would help to improve brain performance.
Okay.
Right.
So
it could be any ingredient. The idea
there are-
is that it's affecting the brain through
Correct.
neurological links or something of that nature. Correct.
But lion's mane, which is an adaptogenic mushroom, that's another. We'll dig into that on another episode. But everybody thinks, you know, mushrooms, is it psilocybin? Is it hallucinogenic, or is it adaptogenic? Most of the mushrooms that are being sold online are adaptogenic mushrooms, meaning that adaptogenic, that it helps the body to adapt to stress. So lion's mane would be one that's very popular for its ability to help the brain adapt to stress. And it also has a nootropic effect, meaning that it helps to improve brain function. So anything that helps to improve brain function, brain performance, could be classified as a nootropic.
Okay. So, and I'm going to cut you off real quick because I want to get into this. But the first time I heard nootropics was probably 2 years ago. The Joe Rogan podcast.
Wow.
He has, what was it called? Oh, gosh.
Alpha brain.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was the first time that I heard it. So, and I like to think that a lot of the stuff that Rogan pitches, I was like, I feel like they're good products. I know he's partnered with the company that came out with that, and I'm drawing a blank off the top of my head.
On it. Yeah.
On it, yeah. And their joint oil is amazing. So anyhow, I tried it. I did not notice a functional difference in it. Now, that's not to say that it's junk. I don't know if it's because for some reason I didn't see the results that some people would. We talked about the different bodies. Obviously, brains are different too. But that was the first time I heard it. I tried it. I only did it for like 30 days. I didn't really see a big difference from it. Maybe because I've done Adderall before and I was looking for something like that.
Right.
Is this a legal and healthy way to get Adderall in my system? Sweet. Yeah, so that was the first time that I had heard about it, maybe 3 years ago, actually, at this point. But now, so you're go ahead. I cut you off there, but that's how you kind of got introduced into Pacquiao, correct?
Yeah, and I've worked with different athletes, you know, from different sports and different disciplines, you know, from MMA, boxing. So New Pacquiao's people got introduced to him, kind of did an assessment of his whole program, diet, nutrition, which was very much on point. However, he really was not using much. I mean, like basic multivitamin, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D. And I'm like, this is all this guy's taking, right? And so, of course,
which is pretty exceptional,
remarkable.
But he's also being tested on a basis because at that point he was still fighting, right?
Absolutely, yes, still fighting, and
So
actually,
limited on what you're able to do that fits under the standings of what's it called? Sorry,
WADA.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, World Anti-Doping Association, and then the IOC, which would be the International Olympic Committee.
Right.
But no, most guys have pretty sophisticated supplement regimens. I mean, where they're taking creatine, beta alanine. There's a lot of stuff out there that's really good. That you're not breaking the law, and you're not going to piss hot or test positive on a test.
Right.
But with the Pacquiao story, so he was literally so impressed with the results that he had off this, really what I would consider to be a basic nootropic stack, kind of like the multivitamin of nootropics. And he was involved with the organization, wanted to invest. And so then he said, look, can we do a drink like this? Can we do a nootropic drink? Because there's nothing like this out there really in the market. And I said, absolutely. And we currently had a hydrogen water. That was the original product that we had for a brand called Locked In.
Okay.
So that was a new brand that came out. Manny got involved. There's a little history with the company, but we'll stay on kind of where we're going forward with Manny's involvement, and then the different.
So
products.
Locked In wasn't originally Manny's company. It was
no, it was another company. Manny got involved, and so then the whole name change occurred.
Gotcha.
And we had some guys that come up with the Locked In name. I won't take credit for that. One of our guys had that, and believe it or not, the trademark was available and function in beverage.
Surprising. That's so surprising because that's a great name for it. So Locked In is the name of the brand now, correct?
Locked In is the name of the brand, and the hydrogen water was the first product that we had, and it was literally perfect timing because Gary Brecka has been promoting hydrogen water and all the benefits of hydrogen water for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And promoting his machine, little thing you got to carry around. So we were like, you know what? When these guys came to me to originally do this deal, they said, we want to be disruptive in the water space. And it's like, well, you can't do another alkaline water. What are you going to do? Add more electrolytes?
Water is fucking water.
Water is water. So I said, well, why don't we do a hydrogen water? And this is around 2021.
Okay.
And at the time, there was over 1,500 medical studies that supported a wide variety of benefits of what hydrogen water does for the body. It's one of those, if you try to really go into it, you could go off into benefits that it has for diabetics and helping with pancreatitis, what it helps athletes with, reducing muscle inflammation.
Sure.
By reducing a biomarker called CRP, which is C-reactive proteins. So that's another way when you were mentioning the FDA before, you can't make claims, but you can reference medical studies and state that, hydrogen water consumption lowers CRP. Well, what does that mean? CRP is a biomarker of inflammation. So if you're an intense training athlete and you're trying to reduce inflammation, lowering CRP. So the water does have anti-inflammatory effects, but you can't say it's an anti-inflammatory
Well, because the
water.
water doesn't cause the anti-inflammatory effect. It
it's-
causes the reaction in your body, which then in return causes the
Correct.
effect. So, obviously I'm a huge fan of Brecka. I've brought him a couple of times on the podcast, and I've seen his ads regarding, hydrogen water. Explain to our viewers who've never heard of it before, and even what is hydrogen water, right? Because we think of H2O.
Sure.
All water is hydrogen water, right? But
Think of hydrogen water is essentially molecular hydrogen, which is the smallest molecule in the universe that has a wide variety of applications when it's ingested in the body. It crosses the blood-brain barrier instantly. It gets into every cell within seconds. And then based on what your body needs, it elicits a particular function. So many people, to keep it simple, think of hydrogen or molecular hydrogen as Mother Nature's antioxidant. It's just healthy. That's why Brecka is always like, hydrogen water is the healthiest thing you can put in your body.
now, but with Brecka, you need a machine in order to create it.
You need a machine. I looked into doing those, but I didn't want to enter the market with it because
There's
it was
a bunch of them now, and now they're
Yeah.
Amazon's inundated with them. It's like which one's what is what? Basically, they all look like blenders.
Yeah, it's one of those you got to carry it with you. You got to drink it instantly, and there's some inconsistency too with some of these machines as far as if you're really getting your
Right.
higher parts of.
Is it
of
actually
hydrogen in the
working?
water.
So let me ask you this: how did you guys put it into a can?
There's actually it's a pretty sophisticated machine. It's probably about a $500,000 machine that basically, just like when you would carbonate water, okay, you put the carbonation in there, it infuses molecular hydrogen into the water, and then it's sealed immediately. So what in this process, we're able to deliver 3 parts per million of molecular hydrogen in every can. So there's a rating, like some hydrogen waters, when you get your machine, it might give you like a 1 part per million. Some will do 2 parts per million. So parts per million is the measurement of hydrogen. So we're able to entrap it into the water and then seal it. And there's a reason that it has to be done either through glass or through aluminum, because if you did hydrogen in a plastic bottle, it will leak out because the molecule is so small. So you'll lose all the benefits of the molecular hydrogen because it'll leak out of the plastic. So this was the original product that got Manny on board, because he was like, wow, he noticed the effects. If you go to his social media, he's tweeting about it all the time. And so then after that was when we got into the deeper conversations about what other type of line extensions can we do, what other types of products that we can do. And that's when he had recently had that great experience with the Nootropics. And then the next thing we did was come up with the locked-in Nootropic drink. And I actually called it Locked-in Nootropics.
So let's stick on the focus of the hydrogen water right now. So I'm looking right in here. Obviously, because it's mass produced, you've got a range 1.8 to 3.2 parts per million.
Correct.
Right? So it's not, every can is not the same in the sense of what it's actually producing. But the idea is that it's very close, right?
Right.
Water with a quad C, a precise complex of colloidal minerals. Is that how you pronounce that?
Colloidal minerals, yes.
All right. To supercharge cells support. So since this has been released, and when did this get released?
That was released in around 2022, 2023.
Okay, and this is not on your website on Joe Pavlik. So yours is, are you kind of more of a consulting individual in the creation of this, or are you a part of this organization and moving forward with Manny and that and creating ways to market that?
I co-founded the original company, and then I served as chief science officer for the brand.
Okay.
And then recently I stepped down just to be a consultant to allow me to still work on other projects.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I am still working and going to be overseeing all the research and development and new product development.
So is this something that'll be sold in regular stores? Is this something that'll be sold in like GNCs? Where, other than on the website, which, we're in the Locked In website right now. You guys probably aren't able to see this, but LOCKDN.com, right? And it's Manny's brand. He's got his picture all posted all over the can here. Do you have any of these with you today?
I do.
Can we see one of those?
Absolutely. I got hydrogen water for everybody.
I have never had hydrogen water. This will be a first for me.
Sounds like the bomb.
I'm not going to just freak out. But this is pretty awesome because it's been out now. You said for how long again? I'm sorry.
It's been out for a couple of years,
and it really hasn't.
Manny's
Has
name
it
on
taken off yet, or is it still in the early stages?
It's funny you asked that. Where is it going to be available? Right?
Yeah,
dude, it's a higher cost to produce just due to all the processes that that are involved, and it's not mainstream enough yet to where large retailers are going to be picking up.
So no
hydrogen water.
GMCs, no.
Not at this time. Maybe
Okay.
within the next year. But what we've really been focusing on in this brand launch has been direct to consumer sales, because then this way we're able to kind of manage the supply chain. We're able to gauge customer feedback, getting the response. And that's how we're finding a lot of athletes and some of the other partnerships that we're developing with people that are really seeing great resuls with it. So
you open a can, you expect it to be like, but you forget it's just water.
You do get a little bit of like a, and this is just a different. We did.
So let me ask you this. I find it interesting that it's in a can versus water, but there's just as many reports about aluminum as there's plastic and everything else. Was there a purpose of putting it in a can versus a bottle?
It was either glass wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work.
It would just be too heavy and too
expensive.
Too expensive. So a can's the optimal way. The only other way you could do it would be like a Tetra Pak, which is like what Capri Sun used to come in. Because this way that will help to retain the molecular hydrogen without it escaping. But otherwise, you can't do it in plastic. It'll leak.
Gotcha.
It'll leak out.
Oh, it'll leak out, really?
Yeah.
Why is the hydrogen aspect of it will?
The hydrogen aspect will leak out because it's the smallest molecule. It'll actually leak through plastic. So the only way to keep it contained is through aluminum can or through glass or a Tetra Pak.
For those watching this, just so you know, it tastes like
this one.
superpowers. No, it really just tastes like regular water. But is there like a time limit to like I have to drink this in a certain aspect then? Because I just opened it up, right?
Great question. It says right on the can, you should consume it within 15 minutes of opening, because otherwise, if you crack it open, let it sit, within 15 minutes, you'll lose all the molecular hydrogen. So you really, that's why these are meant to be like, not, you don't sit and sip on this over the course of an hour and
So
enjoy
just chug it.
You need to look at this as a medical application of getting, look at that, and crushing the can.
I mean, it tastes really good. It tastes, I mean, it's funny because we were in Iceland and like,
Oh yeah.
when I tell people about water, I'm like, there's a difference in like high quality water. Like you don't really know it until you've tasted it.
Right.
When you're in Iceland, it'd be like getting cheesecake at like a actually, you know, I can't even explain it. It's just, it'd be like getting cheesecake at a top-notch 5-star quality restaurant that was made specifically that day to taste a certain way versus like at Walmart going to get the like random 12-pack of assorted, right? And the water in Iceland is like, it's just uncanny how amazing it is. And
Even the
it
toilet
doesn't matter
water.
if you're like in like swimming in the water. Yeah, it doesn't matter. The water's just all perfect. But I mean, you could taste it. It's fresh. It's like
good.
it tastes crisp.
It's gonna be.
But it's not like I'm just gonna be like, oh, I noticed the difference, right?
No, this is something that when you're training intensely
You
and
guys drink consistently, I'm guessing.
drinking it consistently.
Okay.
So, for instance, that's where like when you're during periods of intense training, what a lot of people realize is like, you know, if you're doing your same workouts every day and you get to the point where you're feeling a little sore, a little stale, and you have like chronic fatigue, and you start doing 2 hydrogen water per day, like literally your soreness goes away, and you feel fresh. That's why many fighters, boxers, MMA fighters coming off the scale, like literally that first 2 cans of hydrogen water helps to shut down a number of the catabolic processes that occur when you're dehydrating, trying to make weight. So that's why it's like critical. I have every fighter always like 1 to 2 cans of hydrogen water right off the scale. And then for just general people that are doing it for health and longevity, which many people do, because, you know, people just want to recharge their cells, because it really does help you feel fresher at the cellular level. And that's where when you measure CRP levels in the body, you can see that when your CRP is down, less inflammation. So it's great for people that are dealing with rheumatoid arthritis, chronic pain, chronic inflammatory conditions, pancreatitis. And then also there's over 1,500 medical studies that support a wide variety of claims to even, it helps to lower, 5K race times, helps to improve, muscular force and power output. So there's been a lot of research since 2015, most of which started in Japan, because they've been really big on hydrogen water for over a decade.
Where does the water come from for this product?
For that particular product, we had sourced mountain spring water from the Blue Ridge Mountains in Georgia. That's where we were having the original hydrogen water done. And then that goes through like a triple filtered flash pasteurization process to make sure all contaminants and bacteria would be removed.
Yeah.
Then it's infused with hydrogen, canned, and then shipped out from Georgia.
Here's the thing about water. Fish fuck in it.
Oh my god.
That's stupidest fucking thing I heard.
And they're laughing. You're welcome.
But it's good water. It's really good.
Subscribe,
good
follow
water.
if you enjoy fish fucking in water and drinking it. So it's interesting. Like, I was trying to find like just something that we can pull up quickly. This is from WebMD. One study of 49 people with liver cancer showed that drinking hydrogen-rich water for 6 weeks during radiology therapy could improve the quality of life during treatment. Side effects of radiation, etc. Studies showed that quality of life scores were higher in that group that drank hydrogen water. The placebo group consuming regular water versus the placebo group. So there's physical evidence that it actually made an improvement in this particular study. It said to increase energy, reduce inflammation, and reduce recovery times. In 2024, a review of several studies found that hydrogen water showed promise in reducing fatigue and increasing endurance. Some of the studies the reviewers looked at didn't show much improvement among those who used hydrogen water. Hydrogen water may contain antioxidants, which we talked about. So, I mean, it's one of those things. Hydrogen water showed potential in the treatment of COVID-19.
Jesus.
There it is.
See, Fauci, hydrogen water. It's all you had to prescribe, America, on hydrogen water. And what better than getting yourself some locked in? So the next time you got COVID-19, lock it in, folks. Right here with Manny Pacquiao's hydrogen water.
I would like to point out, though, that the hydrogen molecules are small enough to go through those N95s. Okay,
Right,
that
right.
gets laughs, but fish fucking in water is not. It actually is very delicious water. I'd put that on par with the Iceland water.
Yeah, it's
actually.
really good. I was really
good water.
surprised. The water's really good. It does taste crisp. You know, once I said this is the first time I've actually drank hydrogen water, so I wasn't
Same.
sure what to expect.
Same here.
It is weird drinking water out of a can, but obviously there's some reasons to why that's the case.
Haven't you ever been to a concert before and gotten a Liquid Death?
Liquid Death.
Yeah.
No.
The thing I sell.
There's our Liquid
I
Death
do not
rep
ever
right
drink
there.
Liquid Death, but I'm glad that you sell it.
This would be Liquid Life because it's helping more to.
Hey,
There's some functional benefits there.
Love it.
Locked in on life. All right, so this is the hydrogen water.
That's the hydrogen.
And this
water.
is awesome. And this is something that's been out there for 3 years. Now, what's the reason it's not mass produced yet? Is it just because that process doesn't allow you to, like that $500,000 machine needs to become like a $5 million
No,
machine?
we can mass produce it. It's just currently right now the demand in the mass market is just not there yet.
Well, it's funny because we talk about the demand, and make sure when you get a little bit closer to the mic because you'll fall off there. We talk about the demand right now more than ever. Things like hydrogen water, we'll talk about it soon, but creatine is like making a comeback.
Yep.
NO2 or niacin type products are starting to make a comeback. All these different things that were big in like, I want to say like late 90s, early 2000s, now all of a sudden they're like, everybody take creatine again. It's got all these benefits, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
hydrogen water is one of those things too, though, that is, I mean, Gary Brecka kind of put it on the map. But if you search on Amazon for hydrogen machines, they range from $40 to $600, and there's an infinite amount of them. So I would think that there's actually a demand for it. I didn't know you could get it in a can.
Yeah.
So I would say that there's the potential for a marketing company to take this, and I'd be interested in what Gary Brecka's opinion on this. I don't know Gary Brecka personally, but I would love to be like, hey, Gary Brecka, locked in hydrogen water in a can. Check out the facility, check out the process. Is this something that could be just as beneficial as the machine? And a quick way to be able to have it on demand if you're a person that doesn't necessarily, like, I traveled all the time for work.
Right.
I got to go out of town for 2 days. I don't want to really pack my blender thing with me when I go out of town. Is this something that can suffice and create the same benefits? As a country, we start to look for different ways that we can get healthier. And then what's the next plan? Do we start to create drinking fountains that are able to, produce this same quality of water at our schools? Like, what does that do for our youth moving forward if when they go to the drinking fountain, the water coming out of it is already hydrogenized? Like, I feel like that would be huge, right?
Right.
Maybe that's the next big thing. Manny Pacquiao, check it up. Water, hydrated water through drinking fountains.
But the last point on that is really it's just, this is the best commercially available, ready to drink hydrogen water. So there's nothing else out there that can beat the potency of the molecular hydrogen you're getting in the locked in.
That's awesome.
And so there's a new initiative going forward now going into the summer. So this thing's really going to start picking up. The branding, the marketing, the messaging is going to get picked up. But with anything, you always want to, kind of beta test with, core groups, because I really wanted to see how well bodybuilders are responding to it, MMA, boxers, general health enthusiasts, because, people that are typically suffering the most physical trauma are going to see the best results from hydrogen. You're actually going to be like, wow, I really feel good. Like, if you're going up to your gym, a mile away, you go there, you're banging your workouts out every day, and all of a sudden you get on hydrogen water for a week or two and you're waking up and you're like, man, I'm not as sore. Like, I feel really good. And then even like for other certain conditions, like it's a great hangover cure. So if you're out there, it's great for hangover prevention and hangover recovery.
And is this the new released can right here?
No, that's actually
this is the limited edition.
Yeah,
this one's
we did that.
Keep this on.
Yeah, we did that as a limited edition can, but then we got a new can that's out right now.
And that's the one. Is that the one we drank when we first the one with Manny on the bottle?
No, that was the limited. That was the Manny Collector Edition can.
Oh, I just smashed it.
Yeah.
You did.
No, I'll get you a couple for the.
All right, for the display.
For the display, yeah.
Well, this one in particular has got the American flag on it. So, live American. This summer coming to you, hydrogen water from Locked In. But now you guys are upping the brand one more notch.
Yeah,
this is where the Nootropics come in, correct?
This is where the Nootropics come in, and we're going to be renovating that as well in terms of new and enhanced formula. But the actual nootropic drink that I have here today. Now, what makes this a really unique drink? I mean, everybody drinks an energy drink of some sort, right? You're drinking Monster, you're drinking Rockstar, Bang, all these things. The one thing that with this being a brain performance drink, I wanted to do this with no artificial sweeteners whatsoever. So we only use Red B stevia. Now, granted, this thing is not going to taste as great as something that's sweetened with sucralose or Ace K or a synthetic sweetener. But for those that are really serious about brain health, brain performance, or health in general, and you want to avoid artificial sweeteners, this is a 100% no artificial colors, no artificial sweeteners drink. Additionally, there are 2 ingredient complexes that have been clinically studied with gamers and with athletes. One is called New Level, and another is called Amity. Both of these help to improve a wide variety of cognitive performance benefits, from improved memory, learning, reaction time, information processing. So this is like not just great before workouts, but this is also something you can drink. This is, you know what? You keep talking about Adderall. I've had customers nickname this liquid Adderall. So it's kind of like and if you were taking Adderall, this is like pouring gasoline on the fire that you could sip on throughout the day. And that was the original berry cherry. And if you take a look at the supplement facts panel, you'll see New Level, which is what's considered a nutraceutical. Okay. That is from a company called Nutrition 21. They've done extensive research on that compound with gamers. So it shows to improve a wide variety of gaming performance. But what I really liked about this was there's a compound called Amity, which is a guayusa extract. And so this actually comes from the Amazon, organic, highly pure, highly potent extract.
Okay. Actually, it's pretty rated on my health thing too.
Oh, would you put it on Yucca?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Where do French fries and cheesecake land on that little app there?
They're all zeros.
Yeah, well, Yucca, usually they say if it's above 60% on Yucca, it's really good for you.
Well, the key to Yucca isn't just the number.
It's
more
also
so
the
about the additives, which is interesting because I don't have anything down here. I threw that can of what's it called?
And this is the Manny signature. He wanted to do it. He likes pineapple coconut, so I said we'll do a pineapple coconut flavor. And so that's like right now.
Let's get
the hottest 1-2 punch of like hydrogen water and nootropics. This is like what all the top athletes are using. And we've just literally been selling direct to, elite health and fitness enthusiasts, and then of course top athletes. But now our objective is going to be pushing this out a little bit more into the retail market. But I'll tell you, with what can be done on Amazon and with TikTok Shop,
especially TikTok Shop, like that's the new thing, right? But I'm just pulling up New Level right now. It's actually funny. It says it's typically taken New Level in instances, usually taken through capsule or powder, but that there's several clinical studies that have been conducted that's supporting its cognitive enhancing effects. One study found that taking it improved reaction time, accuracy, and overall cognitive performance in gamers. Another showed in memory and attention in healthy adults. So, I mean, there's actual medical records showing or reporting that shows that, this is actually done the things that you're saying it's going to do as a nootropic. As you guys might have seen, Evan just scanned it on Yucca.
Yeah.
It did score as a 63 in green, but the key point to that, and I tell everybody, is that when you're looking at Yucca, it's the additives and stuff that are in there, right? So the sucralose, the dyes, the different things that are put in our food and our drinks in order to either make them taste good or look a certain color, doesn't have any of those things. No additives, no artificial sweeteners in it. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, that one's 63. The pineapple one is actually almost 70.
Really? So the pineapple's better.
Yeah, the
I'm wondering
better.
if that's because of the now is this coconut water or
no, just pineapple coconut flavor.
Pineapple coconut flavor. So once again, no additives though?
There's only one additive that showed up.
Okay. What was the additive?
I gotta look it up. Let me get a second. Because he might know what the additive is.
Probably a preservative.
Probably.
Because you got to have some preservative in there.
But so they might have an additive. I apologize. I said that, but they're green, meaning there's no risk associated with them. So, like, if you look at most drinks that are out there, the additives that are in them are typically red. A lot of them cause women's breast cancer. Obviously, all the different side effects that are known to be.
It didn't show anything else.
So, this actually says no additives of hazardous substance. It's a 69 out of 100.
Yeah.
Energy, low impact on energy, but it's not meant to be an energy drink.
There's natural organic caffeine from green coffee bean,
of course.
So, but there's no synthetic caffeine. So that's like where something like this.
I'm gonna crack open this one.
This is the other one.
I'm gonna try the coconut.
It's pineapple.
Oh yeah. So I'm sorry. The berry has 2 additives. Limited risk. One's limited risk. One's completely risk free. The limited risk is steviol sweetener.
Okay.
So that's the artificial sweetener, or is
No,
it just
that's a natural plant-based
Yeah,
sweetener.
that's
okay?
a plant-based
And that's
one.
normal. I mean, some sweeteners. I mean, you look at strawberries and stuff like that. That
Yeah.
a
Sure.
natural sweetener or something.
Now, is it true the pineapple coconut one needs to be stored upside down?
Oh my god! Again with the jokes.
I gotta tell you, that's fucking awesome. So I'm a guy that likes like stuff that's not like tastes kind of different. That's so good.
This
Like,
is
this
a
is
truly
really good.
truly natural sweetener drink, and I'm glad that you feel that way because we get accustomed to like these overly sweetened drinks, like with
Fruit punch.
but sucralose and Ace K,
Yeah.
like, and that's what we even had in the early going. I said it's counterintuitive if you're going to try to do a brain performance beverage and you're going to sweeten it with ingredients that are going to cause brain damage. I mean, worse than ADHD, cause, Ace K and sucralose are like very neurotoxic. And so this really is a clean performance drink. Like that, you could have that in Whole Foods and it would pass the test.
How's that taste, David?
Let's trade.
Did you not like it?
I do. I want to try yours though.
You wipe off the.
It isn't
from
an
last night
if
off
you
of it.
now if you're used to drinking if you're used to drinking Rockstar.
Oh, damn it! That was my sister.
Sorry, these guys are just. Oh my god.
Oh, that's funny when you make the joke. I had to get ahead of that. David literally randomly showed up at my friend's house 2 weeks ago dating my sister. I had no idea. I don't talk to her all the time, so it was just funny. And then I just realized they made a joke about who he was with last night, which was my sister. Fuck. Oh.
Oh, I hope your sister watches this.
Oh, that's really good too. That's God, that reminds me of something. So this is it's berry cherry. I was gonna say this has got like a specific flavor that I can remember going back to, but those are both really good.
I'll tell you, for a naturally sweetened drink, like I'm telling you right now, it's really difficult to make something that contains all those ingredients, 1.8 grams of actives, including the new level, the Amity Max, plus a neurotransmitter blend, to have it taste decent.
I honestly think it tastes really good, and it's funny because you talk about all these different drinks that have these artificial sweeteners in them and stuff like that. And let's say you're drinking, I don't know, like a Capri Sun you brought up earlier.
Straight sugar.
It's just like, yeah, I mean, you can taste that it's just sweetened, right? You can taste that it's got a good taste to it, but there's like an underlying something to it, and that comes from the different enrichment that's inside of it, right? As far as the nootropics and stuff like that. So it's like, it's really good. It tastes really good, but you could tell it's not just like a fruit drink, or it's not just another artificially flavored water or something of that nature.
Right.
So yeah, this is something I would drink constantly. If this is actually, and we'll find out tonight, right? Like I assume that after the podcast, if I'm like laser focused and start doing a bunch of like, I'll be interested to see if I have that reaction. I'll be sure that I let you know about it. I'd be like, wow, because I'm assuming it takes a little bit of while before you start to feel the difference in a nootropic and the reaction to
10,
it.
15 minutes, it kicks in.
I was
Okay.
If I start researching or reciting the encyclopedia here in about 20 minutes and start feeding back everything that you've engulfed into our brains tonight as far as information, then you'll know that it works.
We can recite the First Amendment to the Guys Night podcast Constitution. We can ratify that.
That's pretty simple and easy. Evan must.
Anyone, any diabetic.
Yeah.
And that's usually like my late morning, early afternoon
and it looks
cocktail.
and it seems like it's very popular because on Amazon it's sold out.
Yeah, no, it's like I said,
The
we're
pineapple one.
It's doing really well direct, without even going to retail yet. So that's like where we have a new individual coming in that's really going to take the branding to the next level. We're going to be doing more social media. I'll be hosting the TikTok shop. Going to really be breaking this thing down. New flavors. New
So is this going to be
ingredients.
part of the Pavlik Performance brand, or is this going to be something you guys are doing separately?
This will be a product sold. So think of Pavlik Performance as the products that I believe in.
Okay.
With companies that I trust. So this will be a Pavlik Performance approved product.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it will be available at Pavlik Performance. I'll probably just have that redirected to the locked in store for fulfillment.
And we can pretty well bank on Guys Night podcast becoming an affiliate.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We are here today to do that. So we're gonna continue to educate, promote, probably do some guys' night specials, special offers.
Love it.
Even like with this, for coffee fans, I did the same neurotransmitter support blend in the drink. I did an organic coffee infused with nootropics in here. So this works in your K-cup maker, your pot. I brought some of that.
Oh, no
too as
kidding.
well, yeah.
Oh, that's really
I actually
That-
just, you know
That's
what?
the go-to in the morning.
That is really cool.
Caramel full body. Oh, look at that. You know, I haven't even used, what do you call those things? The
Cure cups,
The K-cup.
K-cups.
Yeah, we have one of those. We got it for Christmas from my mom.
nice.
Shout out to mom for awesome gifts that haven't gotten used yet. But now I have an excuse of something to shove in
There
there.
you go.
So dark roast coffee. So is this something that's new to the brand?
No, that's been out for about a year and a half,
is
2
it?
years.
Okay.
What is it called?
It's locked in.
Locked in
Yeah,
dark roast.
water, coffee, and nootropics, like the three top things people.
Well, we talked about it. I think you and I talked about the Midwest diet.
Oh
right?
yeah, the Clevelander diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, allocations for caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol. Those are the three unessential food groups needed when you're trying to survive here, particularly in the winter.
Yes. Coffee and tea for me.
I was trying to see if you guys have anything on social media. Is there anything to?
Yeah, look, go to Live Locked In.
That would be why. LIVE.
Yep, Live Locked In, and you'll see some stuff up there. There it is, Locked In.
Locked in
Beverages.
beverages. All right.
And we actually were out at the Olympia. There's Manny there.
Yeah. How did you guys do at the Olympia?
Oh,
with
we
it?
had a really great response. As a matter of fact, there's an electrolyte stick pack right there that we launched at the Olympia. It's a nanotized electrolyte stick pack that you can mix with water.
Okay.
So you can mix it with your hydrogen water, spring water.
Those I survive on it during the work hours.
Oh yeah,
The lean. Well, it's just a different way to drink water too. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. Like, I mean, water's water, but it's nice to put something in
Yeah.
it that's not going to be bad for you.
and those are the new cans. We even have like an artesian mountain water as well. But again, just a great tasting water, not necessarily like a performance water.
Yeah.
But the hydrogen and the nootropic water are good. And as you can see, the marketing and branding is really good. We've put this out there. Went to the Olympia last October. I did I think it was like the Muscle and Fitness podcast there. Was talking about some of the stuff, and actually we sponsored the pickleball league. Was it the APL?
Yeah.
Which is like the big pickleball organization, because you got a lot of people there that are suffering from arthritis, degenerative disorders, and these pickleball players, they go for like 2-3 day tournaments where they're playing like from morning to night, so they're dealing with dehydration, dealing with fatigue. So
Plus, they're dealing with the humiliation of it not being a real sport. So there's that.
right,
I got him.
they're fighting for it.
All right, so it looks like you guys just started a YouTube page, just recently popped up. Let's check out and see what this little video they have is.
Oh, that audio.
You know what I'm thinking?
That's a drinking game right there.
100%. Thunderstruck is a drinking game. That would be great to that would be a great way to do, because that's a worldwide known drinking game. You ever played?
Yeah.
So there you go. Right there. You just need to line up a bunch of dudes with this. Actually, when we do the barbecue, that'd be a great way to do that. So we might need you to bring a couple of cases over so we can make a round of Thunderstruck with that.
Yeah.
Now that we know that's the beginning of the song there.
Have you tested any of these mixed with vodka?
Yes.
Okay, because I mean that's my thoughts. I mean, not that you guys are on the edge of your seat waiting for my product review, but the berry cherry is fucking delicious.
Yeah, it's really good.
And I really can't help but to think like this with Tito's and ice, and I would probably drink a fucking gallon of it. So
You're saying is there's a way to be a smart drunk.
yes,
There you go.
maybe.
No.
You're walking around the party like Albert Einstein after a couple of
I will be the smartest
vodkas and pineapple
dumb guy.
coconut.
Yes.
We haven't promoted it, but people have done it, and actually, it's much better than Red Bull because you're still getting a nice, cognitive boost from it. and it's keeping you more alert. So it's a different drinking experience, let's say.
Well, and let's be honest, what's Red Bull is, right? It's just an overdose of caffeine.
Caffeine and B
And then
vitamins.
eventually you could drink, it's funny because my wife and I talk about like, 5-hour energy drinks. I started out with like one of those like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon just to get through the day. And it got to the point where I would take 3 of those a day just because I, for some reason, like the weird taste that it was terrible, but I liked that for some reason. And
That's by design, by the way.
what's that?
That's by design.
Of course.
That's not coincidence that you end up liking that fucking
No,
weird taste that it has, right? It does something.
100%.
It's like the crunch of the chocolate in the Reese's peanut butter cups.
Correct.
Like that's not an accident. Like it's
designed to
engineered away to make you like
addicted
enjoy
to
it, right?
Yeah. But I would drink 3 or 4 of those a day, and then I could drink 2 of them back to back and go lay down on the couch and just go to bed. Like it didn't have any effect.
No
and it's
way.
the same thing with Red Bull or,
Right.
I know people that drink 5, 6, 7 Monster drinks a day. There's no, and it's funny because they'll always like, oh, it's got vitamin B in it. And then obviously,
Yeah.
if you've done any research with Gary Brecka and his description of vitamin B, it was news to me. And, that's actually a derivative of cyanide.
Cyanide.
A small dose that's legal. But if you're drinking 5 or 6 a day, I actually have a friend who got vitamin B poisoning. Have you ever had it or knowledge
No.
of it? So he would tell me because this is back when he was like redoing his barn or something. So he was buying, after you spent like $100 at Home Depot or something, they were giving away like the 12 packs of 5-hour energy drink. Well, he's like, I went and spent like $40,000 to build this barn. So like he literally had like a pallet of 5-hour energy drinks. And he's like, I was just fucking punching them down like all day. They were in my garage. I'd walk in my garage, take one. And he's like, it really got to the point where like it hurt to make a fist. Like he's like, I woke up in the morning and it felt like I was just going like this, like just all night, and woke up like this, and I couldn't make a complete fist, and I couldn't open my hands all the way. And he's like, I had to go to the doctor. And he's like, it was actually, they said it was vitamin B poisoning. It's from too much. And this is probably 15 years ago when that happened. But then about 5 years ago, when I started doing research after my wife brought up Gary Brecka to me and started listening to him, and I was like, holy shit, I wonder if he was literally slowly cyanide poisoning himself.
Could have
because he
been.
was taking so much of those things. And it's like 1,000% dosage of vitamin B as it is.
Right.
But so it's interesting that you talk about, side effects are being smart, being alert, which is usually what people want when they take a Red Bull or a Monster or something like that. None of the side effects. You're not putting anything poisonous in your body at this aspect.
Right.
Another
right.
great reason to drink the drink.
And again, natural caffeine, and you're getting neurotransmitter support ingredients, which are really what your brain needs for energy. So caffeine is more central nervous system stimulant energy. This is like brain nutrients that give you a different, like what I call a mind awakening effect. So if you're hammering a Red Bull, you're drinking Monster, it's like, yeah, you get a little bit of a caffeine buzz. This is like something's happening in the brain because you're increasing levels of acetylcholine in the brain. And that's what gives you that good mind awakening effect, alertness and focus. And that's what most people really are looking for, not just energy. They really want the focus.
That's awesome. I don't know if it's because I just drank the hydrogen water and that back to back like really fast, but I have got a buzz going right now, like just ready to go, amped, ready to go to the gym. So this partnership is kind of on a new beginning right now, right? It's been out for a couple of years, but you guys are taking a new approach to this as you guys hit the 2025 running strong.
Yep, had bringing a new team in. Kind of had there was some executives involved that were moving in and out of the company, and then now we've got a new team, got control, and we're going to be doing this with Manny and our new marketing director.
Well, and Manny is the kind of guy. I mean, anybody that knows boxing at all, like to have him stand behind this product.
Massive.
I don't remember him branding any other product. Like there's guys out there that, oh wow, this guy's sponsoring like 25 different things. Like I don't remember seeing his name on anything else.
Yeah.
Not saying that he doesn't, but it's not like it's like an overbearing aspect. Now I mentioned earlier when we were talking about, and totally different company, but we talked about nootropics, and I said I didn't really notice the difference in the Alpha Brain, right, from Onnit. Is there different types of nootropics? Like, are there some that are more or less effective? Are there some that work different for one person than the next in the sense of like sugars? We know there's a ton of different sugars, whether they're created or they're natural. There's different ones.
Sure.
Are nootropics similar to that case for someone like myself, who's just a regular guy who doesn't really know?
Different effects. Number of different nootropics. Some help to increase acetylcholine, which are going to give you that, immediate mind awakening effect. Some are designed more for memory. Some are designed more for learning, for information processing. Some are designed more for mental stamina when you're like working at a computer and you don't really need to be like super amped, but you got to have, mental endurance to be able to get through mundane tasks. You're doing excessive studying, things along those lines. So yeah, there's different effects. And that's where there's a synergistic effect when you combine, let's say 6 or 8 nootropics in different dosages together, it gives you a different effect. So it's almost like the alphabet. You got 26 letters. So think there's, 26 nootropics combined in different ratios. All are going to feel a little bit differently.
Yeah. And I'd imagine depending on your day, depending on what you're doing, and depending on you, how you start to figure out what works best when it does, for instance, maybe morning you start out with the coffee. Maybe it's not 3 o'clock before you try one of these drinks, and throughout the day you're sprinkling maybe a little bit here and there. Maybe you don't drink the drink all at once, because this isn't like the hydrogen water where it's
right.
You could drink this periodically throughout the day. But yeah, it's interesting. I just did this, and I don't know if it's like the fact that we're talking about it, we're thinking about the effects or what. I definitely feel an effect though.
Half a can?
No, it's gone.
You drank the whole can?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. It's dangerously good. Like where you could just go back to the well. Do you feel anything, David, or is it just me? Like I feel like I just drank a Red Bull. Like I feel like I'm like caffeine a little bit. I don't know. I can't explain.
I don't want to say too much, but I will say that my dick is getting hard.
There you have it. Your dick may get hard.
Increasing blood flow.
All right, give me 1 minute. I gotta take a leak.
Oh.
I feel like $1 million right now. It's not even funny. Like I'm trying not to play it off, but I'm like fucking amped right now, and I don't know if it's because of that or what.
Listen, try it. Your typical morning. Do one in the morning.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, if you're gonna leave those here tomorrow morning when I get up, instead of taking pre-workout, I'm gonna take one of these.
Do that.
And then head to the gym.
What
By the time I go to the, like, I'm usually at the gym at like 5:30, so I'll go to the sauna first.
Oh, you go there that early?
Yeah.
He's crazy. So he's an early bird kind of guy. I hate in the morning. I have to go.
Yeah, this week was not a good week for me. I didn't get up past like before 6:30. I don't think, but one time it was like, I think it was the weather change and stuff like that. It just messed with me. But yeah, I want to get back on track this week. So I'll be interested to see, because like right now I feel like I could just go and PR every freaking lift that I do. It's like crazy how well I feel right now.
No, that's awesome. That's a very typical response. You know, I mean, you feel something different. Because it's a different. I mean, you probably never put a formula like that in your body.
Well, I was gonna say it's funny because here we'll come. Well, you can just pause or start it up from when David sat down. But I feel like I just took like 1,000 milligrams of caffeine.
But without the agitation and irritability.
I'm not like, I don't feel bad in any way. I just feel like I have all this.
You don't feel tweaking.
No, I just have like all this that I need to like, I feel like a ball of energy right now, but I'm not shaky or I'm not any of those things, but I definitely feel good. So I will definitely try that tomorrow morning and see if I get the same results.
I'm leaving a case of each here. And so then I want you to really, really do the trial on it, because that's like I tell people, because then you really become a believer in these products. Like when I do products, man, I'm telling you, I take pride in it, Like I just don't tell people, oh, it looks like it's good. No, use it. Use it for a week.
I'm going to try it at the gym. I'll see you at Old School Iron.
Yeah.
So I'll try when I get to the gym.
Well, you and I talked about that too a little bit when we sat down the other day. That's the next step, right? Like Manny Pacquiao's backing this. It's his product. It's his brand. But in order to get it out there, you're going to want some people that are going to actually use it. They're going to be able to speak to it. And they're not going to be just saying it to make a quick buck. Like, it'll be great if, we partner some way and it's like, hey, 10% off if you use the Guys Night, hashtag or whatever. But we talked about it, like we're not that big. We don't have a huge following, but we don't want to like just pitch products just to pitch products.
Right.
Because I think that eliminates really the idea of something good coming out of it. But when you guys are trying to build this brand, I'm sure you guys are starting to find people that are going to do this for you, that have got a following, that have got a trusted audience. How do you go about finding the right influencers? Like, how do you go about finding the right people to say, hey, we want you to market this? Like, is there a process to that? Or you just, hey, you got 200 million followers, let's go?
Honestly, we've actually, most of the ambassadors that we have now, they've contacted us. They've seen us on, at an MMA event. They've seen things online, and they actually contact us to want to endorse the product. And then anybody that we would solicit, it's usually somebody that we feel, obviously has integrity, is qualified. Often comes through Manny's network because he's pretty dialed in with a number of athletes. And then of course we want to let them try the product first. You got to I don't want anybody to endorse it or promote it unless you really believe that it's like that great of a product. Not just do it for the money or do it for a commission. You got to really believe in it. And then when you have people that really believe in it, then that's the proper way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we've talked about it. One of the former Nick's former coaches. I think that's my watch. One of Nick's former coaches is Goob, who's on Instagram, and he's always blowing people up. And he's like, I mean, look at this person. They've got 25 different, supplements that they want you to try in their profile. Like they're obviously editing the shit out of their photos, and all they're focused on is trying to get you to buy products, and so they could get paid. And
Sounds like Uber.
that's what I was talking about. Yeah. But that was, do you have that video? What was that?
Yeah. Oh, the girl or Uber. It's called Goober. The guy's name is Goober. Look him up.
Is it Guber?
No, it's Goob. You should show up. There you go. Very bottom. See him right there?
Right here?
No, up. Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah, but what? I'll never know. Oh, I've been sued.
He's been sued so many times because he exposes people that.
I wish I could find that specific video because I thought it was great the way that he called that person individually out.
Yeah, he calls out a bunch of people for if he thinks you're faking your photos, or he thinks you're promoting it just to promote it, not to help people, but to.
Have you ever seen this guy before?
No.
Oh,
his
his
videos are hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm trying to just pinpoint one that I think.
Let me. While you're looking at, let me see if I can find a Goober one that's for an influencer for products.
Yeah, let me see. I got no sound on here. So what he'll do is he'll find these people that are posing on here. And then he'll point where, like, you can see, like, right here, it's edited because, like, you can see where somebody actually edited the photo in order to create it. But he calls these people out. Oh,
and he just calls them out.
And it's hilarious.
Was that the Titanic?
Yes, it is. He used
I feel like that's not the first. Oh, this one might be one of them right here.
Being nasty, fake, and full of shit. All at the same time. Dasha Angel, welcome to the show. That was a little aggressive. Welcome Dasha Angel, 13,000 followers. The most relevant part of her existence that she puts in her profile: I live in Dubai. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't really get much deeper than that. Her profile was brought to my attention based off of some comments she made in this thread. The thread was regarding women and cellulite. Dasha says cellulite is not normal. It only appears because of improper nutrition. You had some nasty things to say about commenters that disagree with you. First off, you're wrong. Cellulite is not only caused because of improper nutrition. Don't take my word for it, take the Mayo Clinic. All we really know for sure about it is that it involves muscle, skin, and fat and the way that they interact with each other, and sometimes fat can cause dimpling, aka the appearance of cellulite. While a sedentary lifestyle and bad diet can absolutely exacerbate cellulite, that's not the cause of it. They list all of them. Genetics, hormones, skin structure, skin texture, body type. But what I really want to know, Dasha, is what causes this? Why is the rack bent? And why is this floor bent? Is that caused by genetics or poor nutrition? And on this photo right here, what would make the wood veneer curve like that around your ass? Perhaps poor nutrition. This one's a total banger. Guys, analyze this trash can in the back and this trash can in the front. I'm talking about this one right here. I'm gonna get banned for this. Anyway, look, this one's a fucking oval because you made your waist smaller and your ass bigger. Anyway, yeah, if you don't have something nice to say nothing at all. Keep it to yourself. Imagine
But it's hilarious because he calls all these different people out. And Evan showed me the video originally because I didn't know who he was. But
well, Nick knows who he is. Nick's actually talks to him.
Yeah, Nick used to be trained by him. He was a posing coach or some kind of fitness coach. But anyhow, he goes through these people and he blows them up on the spot. He's like, "Look, I don't have a problem with you pitching products, but when you try to tell people like and you lie about what that product actually does, like you aren't that fit or you don't have that shape." And then you're like 10% on this code, 20% on this code or whatever.
Right.
He's like, that's the kind of stuff that he's like, I just don't, that's what gives us all a bad name. Anybody that's representing any product.
Well,
and it sounds like that it sounds like that you're absolutely trying to do something about that.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, if anything right now, the education's really needed.
Yes.
I mean, we need serious education, and I know a lot of people don't care, or they say they don't care, but you need to care. Because like there has to be products that are science driven with like even this drink, clinically researched ingredients like that have gone through legitimate clinical studies using the dosage that was used in the research, not, this, alpha GPC was shown to, do this and you're using 50 milligrams when the research shows you need to use 600, so that's where these are just the little things that, positioning the brand differently in the way I've tried to position all products where they're education based. My marketing is education. I want people to be I don't want every customer. I want the educated consumer that's really concerned about what they're putting in their body, believing in the product, understanding it, and then that leads to long-term sustainable customer base.
Yeah, and I think today's day and age too, you don't need it to be in a Walmart. In fact, I don't even buy supplements from Walmart because I would always just assume that they're watered down in some sense and that they don't meet the standards of what. It's like, remember when Hydroxycut was a big thing, and then Walmart started selling Hydroxycut, and you're like, there's no way it's the same Hydroxycut as what you're paying $20, $30 more for.
Right. Once it goes to Walmart, it's you kind of downgrade, sort of the level of premium products. But and honestly, I'm really intrigued with this TikTok shop thing now. I really think like it's like, if you can avoid everything's logistics, right? So let's say you're going to make 1 million cans. Do you want to ship out to every Walmart DC? Do you want to ship out to retail when like you can make the same margin selling direct? Most people prefer to buy direct. Sure, there's going to be some people that are going to say, "Oh, this sucks. I can't pick it up at the gym."
Right.
But most people like what they like, and they're going to order it, and they're going to keep a couple cases at their house, and that's the way to go. So you can't be everything to everyone. So from a business standpoint, you got to say, all right, do we want to fight that retail play, or do we want to be direct to consumer? I personally would rather be direct to consumer because it opens up the bandwidth of what I'm able to educate and promote and bring to market than spending half of my time or half of my team's time worried about the logistics of warehousing and shipping to all these DCs and
that's
markdowns.
it too, right? Like if you have a quality product and it sells, then you don't have to worry about distribution because they're going to come to you for it.
The Tesla would be the very best example of that in our world. Like, I mean, you come from the car business, and I don't own a Tesla. I've driven them, but if you haven't, and for anybody out there, like, if you ever just want to be wowed, just go buy a Tesla dealership and just walk around and see it. Like they're 100% owned by Tesla, operated by Tesla. Employees are employed by Tesla working there. It's very different. And it's that exact model you're talking about right there.
Yeah. It's not, they don't put 2,500 Tesla dealerships across the country.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
And they don't put an infinite amount of supply at those dealerships either.
Right.
So that one, if you want one, you're going to go there and you're going to buy it.
Yep.
And you're going to wait for it to get to you. And that's just the model that they've, set up. I mean, even their maintenance and their service department, the way that they operate is completely different than the rest of the dealerships across the country do. And they're one of the only manufacturers that truly offer a customer-centric purchase experience in general, whether it's online or whether it's at the dealership. But right, so with the drink like this, if it works and people enjoy it, and that they're going to know where to go for it. And the other thing that's going to eliminate is, we talked about in China that mimicking Apple.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
But it's very easy for any drink company to try to mimic what you're doing. And if you're exclusive, like I can only go to you to buy this, or I can only go to this site to buy it, it eliminates the fact of like, oh, is that stuff that they were talking about, that hydrogen water? Like, no, dude, you can't buy that shit at Walmart. Like, that's a knockoff, or that's some company trying to mimic what they do.
Right.
It might not even go through the same standards. You need to go to the person who's actually pushing the product and selling the product specific. So with social media today, it's not like it was 10, 20 years ago where, you know, if you want to sell Miller Lite, you had to sell Miller Lite at the gas station. It's not like, you know what I mean? Now,
Right.
if you have a hot product and people want it, they can get it online, have it delivered to their house. And I mean, delivery systems today are so far and above and beyond what they used to be.
Insane.
So you can get it out there. We've been going for quite a while. You got anything else to add on the product side of things?
Man, I'll just tell you, I think this is one of the most disruptive, innovative, functional beverage brands ever. You know, world's best hydrogen water in a can, highest parts per million, a really unique and novel nootropic drink. Got the nootropic infused coffee, and I'm working on some other stuff that we're going to roll into this brand. So, you know, from all the projects that I have going on, this is the one that I think has the most immediate global reach because of Manny, and also the fact that, you know, everything that this brand does, there's a portion of proceeds that go back to support the Manny Pacquiao Foundation, which is Manny's nonprofit.
That's awesome.
And what a lot of people don't know is that Manny has given back over a third of his career earnings back to charity throughout his whole career.
That's pretty
And
sweet.
so like, that's like where like it really is cause based. And so like the success of this isn't just about like, you know, he's not, you know, sometimes you see people, oh, trying to buy 10 Lambos and go out there and roll around. Like, he's really trying to make a difference. You know, he builds homes for people in the Philippines, different communities. And so just knowing him as an individual and, you know, what he stands behind, you know, God-fearing man, God-loving man, family man. And so he really just wants to, you know, bring products to market that help others, and wants to have the best of the best in the marketplace. And so that's where, you know, my job is to bring those products out. And so we'll see what happens over the next several months, and particularly this summer, because, you know, with what we're going to be doing with, you know, the educational marketing, I'm going to be doing, you know, more of these educational videos, bringing some new products out. And I just want to see what we can do direct to consumer. And then once we can do that, that will then allow us to evaluate who would be the best retail partner when we start going into retail.
Yeah, guys. And for those of you who are interested in the product, locked, LOCKDIN.com is where you'll find the website. You can order the stuff directly from there. But they've got a ton of different products. Obviously, these are the two newest and the freshest things out there, but they've also got regular alkaline water and some other things on here as well. But here I will be the first one, you know, to say, like, the Nootropic definitely makes a difference. Like, I would tell you right now, just to go order it and try it for yourself, so you know that I'm not bullshitting you. This has some serious potential to it. And for those that have, you know, done any kind of research or interest on hydrogen water, I would suggest you definitely trying this as well. I think both of these products have a potential to be global very quickly. Not just because of Manny Pacquiao, but really just because the quality seems to be there. And we live in it, like we so much is going on, obviously, with RFK being in charge of the health now. All these different drinks, foods, and stuff that have all these different additives and things that are in them, all these artificial flavors and sweeteners and stuff like that are in drinks that are unhealthy, that we know cause other issues. There's none of that in here. We uked it here live, 100% green, no additives that you have to be concerned about, nothing that's negative, these drinks at all. And I can tell you right now that 30 minutes in, I feel more locked in than ever. So if I were you, I would give it a shot, if anything.
But also wait to purchase. So they have our affiliate link, which we'll put in the description when we upload. So go looking for that.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll put the links down in the description. We'll make sure that we
get a
post some
discount
stuff
of
out
some
there.
sort, I'm sure.
I mean, if anything, if you just have a great experience, we'd love for you to tag us and tell us about your experience. So hashtag Guys Night if you've tried it. If you haven't tried it, if you're going to try it, let us know what you thought of it. This is the first time that we've really had some products on here that we've kind of pushed out there.
I'm going to try it. I'm kind of I haven't picked up a Rockstar in a while, but I'm definitely a one energy drink, almost per day, but like per day and a half, I would say, like on average.
Right.
So Yeah, as of tomorrow, I think I've got a couple of those. I'll shotgun those. I don't mean like shotgun them. I think maybe like for
Target practice.
Yeah, for a little. Yeah, we maybe do a little skeet shooting with some
Cool.
rock stars, and then but we'll down one of these first and see if it improves my aim or not. But,
I was able to knock him down from 400 yards away with the sawed-off 12 gauge. It's amazing. Blindfolded with my hands tied behind my back using
now, my Remington 870 is not sawed off. It is custom cut at a certain length. Like it was one that had to once fit in a patrol car. So, it's intentional. It looks sawed off, but it's not sawed off, I promise.
Anything else you got coming up big? I mean, this is obviously pretty huge right now. This is going to be the target, I'm assuming, of most of your social media, and people can catch you on Instagram, Pavlik Performance.
Yep.
Websites, joepavlik.com. Eventually you'll have this being posted on there.
Yep.
We talked about lockedin.com. That's LOCKDIN.com for you guys to find the hottest new Manny Pacquiao drinks. And then also, Joe was kind enough to bring us the forearm flex training for you guys that are out there working behind a desk for a living, doing anything like that. Driving for a living. If you're a semi-truck driver, you just want to keep the blood flowing while you're moving, keep yourself awake on those long hauls. But also, too, I find this great to do in the morning right before I go to the gym. To just start flexing on it, and it kind of gives you that pre-pump. So when you get to the gym, you're ready to go, loosened up. Your wrists aren't sore and tight from sleeping all night, and however you. So a couple of great products that I recommend everybody check out and try for yourself.
Well, thanks. Yeah, great thing to do while you're drinking your morning nootropic coffee.
Yes, absolutely.
And also the one last thing with it coming, beach body season is going to be here. Summertime's fast approaching. I think I might bring some crazy ab videos, some tutorial ab training that is going to go along with the metaboderm because
awesome.
Because I've invented a lot of these different exercises. They look kind of crazy, but it's really designed at core strength, and everybody wanting to get ripped abs this summer. If I could help people get their abs a little bit more ripped, that'll be, you don't have to step on stage, just want to look good at the beach or, wherever you're going.
Yeah, absolutely. And, once again, the Guys Night Podcast, we cannot thank you enough for coming, Joe, for being a part of the show tonight.
No, thank you.
For teaching Evan fewer things tonight, so that hopefully now we know that if Evan is to have his alarm go off, we're going to need to improve this entry level. So we're going to need something a little more faster acting.
Okay. Yeah.
But
honey.
Yeah, honey. But we still are now able to know that Evan is more than capable of snorting a pixie stick to quickly adjust his sugar levels. So if you're a diabetic, I'm not a doctor. Don't take any of my advice without checking with your doctor. But if you want to have a good time, that might be it. But for the rest of us, I appreciate everybody listening tonight. Hopefully you guys gather some great information. Joe, truly a privilege. You're obviously a very well-educated man and somebody that people should be able to trust for advice, whether it comes to the nootropics, hydrogen water, or even the PED segment that we talked about earlier. So thank you again for being on the show. We'll definitely have you back on for sure.
Oh, yes. No, thank you. Look forward to it. There's so much we got to cover, and there's so many different topics. So I'd really look forward to coming back.
Awesome. Thank you very much. As always, everybody, have a good night. Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.